Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and joining me as always, and this is odd, this is not like Matt to be in Superman colours, red and blue, but Matt's here.
Almost like I did it on purpose.
Almost. And then in ginger and black, Connor's here.
It's kind of grey.
More of a grey, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the black's just the inside.
It's
grey.
borderline. It's
So my wife won't let me turn on the heat. And this house is particularly colder than the old house. She thinks because it's haunted. I don't think it's haunted, but
You wish it was haunted.
well, if it was haunted and she let me turn on the heat, then that's fine. I'll let her think it's haunted, but she still won't let me turn on the heat. So
I mean,
I might be dressed as Connor next show, all bundled up.
Interesting. Yeah. Yes. Insulation is not as good as probably my best guess, but that's
Mine too. But when the dog starts barking at random spots on the wall, it doesn't do my argument much good. Now she wants to do a cleansing, and I was like, no more ghost adventures. Like, enough.
Matt's gonna get home next week, and there's just gonna be like a shaman in the house doing something.
But yeah, she tried to tell me that Bigfoot's definitely not real, but ghosts definitely are real, and I about got a divorce.
I mean,
you can't say one or another is definitely.
Sure. I mean,
I
I will probably agree that something that at least people saw and called Bigfoot is more likely to be real than a ghost. But I mean, Bigfoot, as the legend knows it, I mean, that's up in the air.
So
someone saw something. I will agree with that.
Yeah. Well, same with ghosts. I know plenty of people that they saw something or they experienced something they can't explain, and that's fine. Like, science is all about the unexplained, and let's figure it out. But to just wash it all off, like, that's stupid. That doesn't exist, but this stupid thing does. Ugh.
Don't let Timmy say that.
No, but see, Tim's my Bigfoot bro. It's fine.
Yeah. But if you call one of them a stupid thing, and Tim hears that, it's not going to be happy.
True. I don't want to make Tim unhappy. You wouldn't like him when he's unhappy.
Tim's getting a new Hellboy movie. Tim's over the moon. You can't make him unhappy right now.
It's true.
He's getting more seasons of Castlevania. He just got married. He's getting a Hellboy movie. Like, everything's coming up, Timmy. I don't know why I sound bitter. I'm getting like last night a Resident Evil 2 remake at the same time.
Him.
So I'm
we
doing
must
all right.
take all his happiness.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The 2019's looking pretty spiffy for me as well, admittedly. But my desires make more sense than Tim's. Tim has these weird fetishes. Goats
like Hellboy.
Like Hellboy. It's a weird fetish. Tim goes on Pornhub and he's like, Hellboy.
I can't wait till the movie makes tons and you're like, damn it, Tim's weird fetish went mainstream.
Well, yeah, if they make a porn parody, it'll actually show up some results.
Oh, I don't want to think of it. No.
Hell, it may show up results now. I don't know. I'll just search Hellboy.
It's already been done.
Oh. Right-handed Doom. No.
It'll be a fisting speciality series.
Oh. Are we supposed to be family friendly?
Never.
That's fine.
Never.
Okay, cool.
Although I do believe that on episode 133 is the first time we've ever spoken about fisting in any capacity, so that's fun. Yeah, we talk about comic books on this show. Coming up on this week's show, it is a weird week one because Doomsday Clock is here, and so is Connor, which is even weirder. Yeah. But Doomsday Clock issue 8's coming.
I missed like 2 out of 8.
Yeah, but it was 2 in a row, and it was like this year's 2 and 3. So early on, it became a staple.
A thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have that, and then we also have sort of double main eventing. Is it 2003? Because we have 2 Geoff Johns comics in the same week. So we got Shazam issue 1, we have Batman 60, Justice League 13, the Green Lantern issue 2, Green Arrow 47, the Adventures of Super Sons issue 5, and then rounding out at the end, we get the first issue of a mini-series, or a maxi-series, because they're actually using that term again. It says on the cover, maxi-series. Martian Manhunter issue 1. So that is the week ahead.
Which, you know how you've made it as a comic writer is when they use your blurb on top of it for another book. It's like Tom King giving love to Martian Manhunter. That's the first thing I noticed.
Because they're hoping that people who like Mr. Miracle will give
Yeah.
Martian Manhunter a chance. That's what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
They're wanting that same kind of indie, not indie, but like, you know, the gem.
It's
kinda,
indie flavored.
Yeah,
You know, it's
indie
like
flavored.
It's
That's
like when Hollywood bought up all the indie studios and they started to make their own version of indie. It's kind of like that, you know, where there's a flavor to it, but it's not independent in the slightest term.
Yeah. This is a weird little prestige thing that doesn't matter if it sells a lot. It's just doing good reviews, and that's all we want from it.
It's the critical gem.
Yes. So yeah. But that's what's coming up on the show. No, not much news this week. At least I didn't see anything. Other than someone asked Bendis on his, because Bendis is like a Tumblr Q&A thing pretty much consistently, and someone asked him if there was any chance of seeing Stephanie Brown in Young Justice, and he responded with a gif that just said "Hell yes." So, Stephanie Brown and Young Justice.
I mean, it makes sense. It's that whole generation that's being tackled, and you can almost call them a lost generation that's being tackled there.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty pumped. In fact, we should probably mention a lot of the variants have coming out for Young Justice issue 1. Most notably, the Superboy one from Jimenez, which is the meme, the boyfriend looking at other girl meme.
Yep. But it's reversed, and it's, you know.
And yes, Superboy's the one who's getting looked at, but he knows he's getting looked at, and he's soaking it in.
Still not a fan of the 90s look, but I have an open mind, so...
I love how it's like, Superboy's back, and Matt's like, eh.
What's with the high top fade, Bendis? That hasn't been cool
like
since
100 episodes of we need Superboy. And
I know. I understand the double-edged sword of this. I get it. Like, but yeah,
it's fine. Once they kill him again in an event, we can get rid of his 90s look.
Yeah,
I know Pete hates the jeans and t-shirts. He thinks it's lazy, but that's my era of Superboy. So
yeah, they're fun. I like a lot of the designs of the other characters though, quite a bit.
Yeah, oh, me too. I'm still excited. Like, don't get me wrong. I'll probably get it, even though I probably shouldn't in physical.
Yeah. Because
room and whatnot, but
yeah,
like I have to.
Yeah, so
that cover too.
That boycott of physical lasted about 3 weeks. That was good.
It's been 2 months, thank you. I have not started a new series in physical since I moved.
Oh, so you didn't get Shazam?
You didn't get Shazam? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, that doesn't count.
Okay.
That doesn't count.
Why does that not count? Why is that exempt?
Okay, but then it's still been 2 months. So boom, I made it 2 months. I made 2 mortgage payments.
What you're saying is you made it until the next book started.
I don't know I could have gotten Martian Manhunter, but I got that digitally.
Still the same week.
Yeah, it was the same week. It was the same amount of time.
I'm saying I could have gotten both, but I had some restraint. I had to get the Johns book with the Frank cover. Like, come on.
Oh, so much willpower. You could be a Green Lantern, Matt.
Oh, I'd be a terrible Green Lantern.
Yeah, you would be.
Yeah.
I'm much more red. Let's be real.
Oh dear. All right. Well, we'll get into books then. We'll start with Doomsday Clock issue, of course, the main event. It's always the main event when I show Doomsday Clock.
Boy,
we are 2/3 through this book.
We are.
Finally.
Yeah.
It's only taken a year.
Issue 8. We got 4 more issues left, and it feels like we're kind of ramping up into, I don't want to say the end game, but it feels like it's finally blossoming into what it is. If that makes sense. It finally
feels like a DC event.
What you're saying is, finally we see Superman.
We do see Superman in a extended capacity. He is the main character of this issue. There's no doubt that he is the focus.
Yeah,
beyond that tease at the end of the first issue, yes. We're finally back.
Oh, there was a glimpse of him in Daily Planet at one point.
I mean, properly.
Sure, like Superman himself. Like, this is the first time we've seen him in the full costume, doing stuff. Like,
yep.
Because, you know, and outside of Batman, it's really just been the Watchmen characters up till now, you know? And here was the first time that we really just focused on the goings-on in the DC.
Oh, unless you're counting like Johnny Thunder and Saturn Girl as...
Well, yeah, but they were still sharing that story with Mime and Marionette. This had none of those characters pop up. for that issue that we had of Mime and Marionette and their origin, this is almost like the counterbalance to that, to where it's mainly focused on our characters, not so much the Watchmen.
Yeah. So we typically go through these Doomsday Clock issues, kind of just scene by scene. No reason to change that formula now. So it bookends neatly with Ozymandias.
Yep.
And he's looking at a book and he's saying, yes, that one will do nicely. Which obviously we'll come back to at the end, because it's just kind of, it's on its own, it's completely isolated here. And you're like, okay, what's the context of this? What does he mean this one will do nicely? Who's he talking about? Is he talking about Superman? Is he talking about someone else? I think he's talking about someone else, given where we go at the end. But, worth mentioning. So we got Lois and Clark at Daily Planet. I feel like there's a really important thematic thing here with Lois not wanting to drink Kool-Aid. Is that just me?
No. That is, and it's funny because of how they put it. Is I would pay Lois for a coffee drinker, but she requested orange juice, right? And they were all out of orange juice, so Jimmy brings her orange Kool-Aid.
She's trying to be healthy.
Yeah, Lois strikes me as a person who drank far too much coffee, and her doctor told her in no uncertain terms, you need to quit.
Yeah, but even then, she would have switched to tea. She's not. She's still going to get some type of caffeine content.
I mean, yeah.
So, but no, that was, I picked up on that because I read this one twice. So that was something that I picked up on the second time through.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, obviously, the article they're looking at, they're breaking at the White House, which is where Ozymandias was in that first scene. Where, we didn't mention that.
So I think the other thing here is that she takes a sip of the Kool-Aid and goes, "Oh, Kool-Aid," and then doesn't take the letter, the package that was sent, before. She takes it later, of course, but I think there's a small thematic touch there of when she drank the Kool-Aid and obviously drinking the Kool-Aid is just obviously a common metaphor now for buying into the overall, facade. So, I think there's some thematic things here. It maybe implies that Lois is the one who's going to sort of kind of break the case later.
Yeah. I'd be disappointed if she doesn't.
I think been kind of expecting that since the stuff got sent to her.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So basically, Firestorm's in Russia. They're seeing this in the news. We kind of cut back and forth from them watching and what's going on. Firestorm is battling some Russian metas. And it ends in this catastrophic event where he gets so overwhelmed that he kind of just erupts with his powers and turns the entire angry mob into glass. So we have all these glass people.
And it's super important to know, because people might not be familiar with Firestorm. He can't transmute organic matter. So he can change things from different elements, but he can't do it to people.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he lost it and erupted and turned everybody to glass, and even he's confused by this. Like, why did this happen? And,
he's shocked. He flies off in complete utter disarray.
But what I like, too, is seeing the Russian heroes and how, even though they're, we see them as tools for that government and stuff, that's kind of how the back matter set them up. They are trying to handle Firestorm as delicately as possible, because they have... what's his name from Aquaman's team? He's at the Vostok.
Yeah.
He's like, let's bring him in as nice as possible, basically. And the Russian Flash goes up there, but it's Negative Woman when she sees one of them get hurt that she loses it, and it's a tinderbox.
Yeah, I like how, because Clark and Lois halfway through this are Perry's already saying, who's going to Russia to cover this?
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, we're going. But once he turns everyone to glass and he flies off, that's when Clark just says, no, screw this. I'm flying off early.
Yeah.
I need to go deal with this.
But he doesn't go to Russia.
No, he goes to where he thinks Firestorm might have ran to when he flew off, which is Kandak.
Finally.
Finally.
Finally,
Shazam has come back to Kandak. Okay.
They've been teasing this.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, Matt.
Well done, sir.
They've been teasing this stuff with Kandak and Black Adam for so long now in this book that I'm like, finally we're going to get to it.
So we know John's getting his own line after Doomsday Clock's done, or even probably before then because of the shipping delays and whatnot. I feel this is him putting to bed a lot of his older themes from things that we've seen, and especially here with just having read Johns' Hawkman and the crossover with JSA about how Black Adam got control of Kahndaq.
Yeah. And
here, those rules are still apply. Like, he can't leave. He has to stay in Kahndaq. So that's why it's become the sanctuary for people. Like, we'll take everybody. And I just like that even if you've never read that story, it fits here. But if you have read the story,
surprisingly benevolent ruler for his people.
Yeah. Which is we shouldn't say surprising, because that was always his thing. Is he was a hero. He just got tempted by power.
It's surprising, and this is if you're not like too familiar with him, and he's evil Shazam.
We hear the name Black Adam.
You're like, but he's not totally evil.
No, he's more like Shazam Zod, in that he has somewhat noble-ish intentions depending on where he is, but he goes about in evil means and gets corrupted by the power. It's not exactly Zod. I'm not saying it's a perfect comparison, but there's just in terms of how Zod's not completely 100% just for evil.
Yeah. No, it's why Black Adam's such an interesting villain.
Yeah. I just want to say I love the 3 panels when Superman arrives in Kahndaq where he sees Giganta. It's like the shadow on his face, and then that shot looking up at her. I really like those panels.
He's in wonder. Yeah. Superman never gets to be in wonder, but the fact that he is here, it's such a nice touch.
Yeah.
And then we find out about Sandstorm, who earlier in the story we had heard about rescuing a bunch of people from Syria, and you come to find out that it's not just a hero; it's a kid, whose powers manifested during this, hugely traumatic event.
Which is actually neat that it's with Black Adam, because it's obviously a very Shazam-esque idea that it's a kid who's actually underneath the powers. So this is kind of a neat touch.
Who then in turn becomes in wonder, has this wonderment of Superman.
Yeah, as you'd expect. Yeah.
Everyone still respects Superman, as we've established.
Yeah. I don't want to keep going back to the art in these scenes, but I just want to talk about the page where he goes in to meet Black Adam, and it's like Black Adam's on the throne. I think every panel on that page is beautiful, and I think what I love about it is that it makes Black Adam and Superman feel like equals. And I feel like one of the things that happens in comics sometimes is that some characters who should be treated like they're equals to some of the big dogs get kind of just forgotten and like relegated to like C books and B books and stuff. And I feel like Black Adam should be up there with some of the big villains.
He's often overlooked, though.
Yeah,
you,
but you
could almost argue he's more interesting than Shazam, just because of his history. Yeah. And so so the fact that he is an equal, and just like he's the polar opposite. He has all the strength of Superman and all this other stuff, and he rules a country while Superman's in hiding, basically acting as a reporter.
Yeah.
As a citizen.
Pacing of that page is fantastic. So you've got Adam standing up, like, because he could stay sitting on his throne and be like, as a show of power, but he doesn't.
Right.
No, he stands up as equals and he offers his hand out. And there's just that panel of Superman staring at it like, okay, do I?
Hesitation.
Yeah.
I think some of the best see when comic book nails pacing, and the best comic book art will. Obviously, writing's a part of that as well, because the writer has to know to just let the artist do his thing, or her thing, for the page or whatever. It's when it does feel like you're almost watching a movie, because you get the length of the shots, you get where the cuts are, you get that big shot of him sitting in the chair on the throne. You get that big wide shot. You understand the pacing as it moves to Superman walking in. The close-ups.
It's notable that top panel is wider, right? So
establishing shot.
That it actually takes longer than the individual panels that are going on,
and it gives you this sense of the big room as that he's sitting in. That this throne room is huge. So it's really simple, but it's really smart, and it's something to call out when you see it.
Well, and it comes from too that Johns and Frank have worked together so often that I'm sure they have a shorthand.
Oh, definitely.
So they're both working on all cylinders here. Like, who-wee.
Yeah. So Black Adam's like, no, Firestorm's not here, but he is welcome. When you find him, he is welcome here. Is basically the sort of the point he gets to. And then we go to a scene at the Daily Planet with Lois, and this is where she picks up the envelope. Now, I correct me if I'm wrong. Did we know who sent this? Because in my memory, I assumed it was New Rorschach, right?
Me too.
I think we all assumed that at the time.
Yeah,
based
but we don't
on
actually
where
know.
It was in the book.
That's fair, yeah.
I don't think we ever saw him do it. I think we just saw a hand.
So he's still very possible, but he could very well be someone else. So Lois picks up the envelope, there's a USB stick in there, and she puts it in, and there's a video file of the JSA. And you get like the old black and white.
When you guys read this, did you read it in the old serial voice?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I did.
Yes.
Yeah. And on my second read through, I read it out loud, and I got looks from my wife who's trying to watch TV. I was like, "Oh, sorry." I just got very excited.
Joe, I love that Lois did the art on Lois's face. I mean, before it gets to the GSA, she's just like, she looks kind of like bored and just dumbfounded. As why has someone sent me this? What is this crap?
The bit where she's doing it is going saboteurs, spies, fascists. And she's like, what is this?
But then you see that panel of the GSA. You're like, oh my god, it's the classic GSA team. Oh, yeah. We're failing. We're doing it. We're doing it. Kind of.
Oh my god.
But so Lois actually says the line, "Who the hell are the Justice Society of America?" So now that she's asking that question, now that Lois has got the scent, I expect trails to be led. So Superman finds Firestorm, and Firestorm is desperately trying to turn a child. He's clearly like, I don't want to say kidnapped because that's not really what's happened here, but he's grabbed one of the glass figures, one of the kids, to try and. Although if I was playing this smart, I'd have taken an adult, because if something goes wrong and you kill the kid, you'll feel worse. Try an adult first.
Yeah, but I think it's easy.
Well, that's a lot coming from Pete.
The kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Superman comes in and he's trying, and what I think this is one of the best scenes in the book, in the sense that, in terms of displaying Superman as a character, because Superman here quickly understands that he's trying to fix it. He didn't mean to do it in the first place. He's trying to fix it, and then encourages him and inspires him to try again and ultimately succeed. And that feels, it's like Superman's influence just helps. It does nothing but helps in this scene, which is obviously the contrast of what's coming up later when he goes to Russia to try and smooth things over on a more political scale. Yeah. So I really like that, and it feels quite heartwarming when it works. And there's again, talk about pacing. There's build up to him trying it again, and then the kid comes back, and it's just a really nice, like, heartwarming moment.
And this is how great Frank is with the expressions, because there's those expressions with Superman. It's like, no, I know you can do it. And then Ronnie, he goes from being like this basically a scared kid himself, to like, yeah, I can do it. Superman believes in me.
Yeah, he's got a tear coming down his cheek at the end of the scene, and he says, "The professor says thank you too." More on the professor later. I have thoughts.
Just another touch on the art. I thought about it earlier as well. You see it when he was next to Giganna. Just the cape when he stood still from behind. The way it just flows, he draws it so well. Like, I know that's like one of those weird things, but I feel like it's always so static.
Yeah.
When he's just stood there, it's just draped down behind him, and that's it. It's just like a rectangle at the back. But no, the way Frank does it is it's got this flow to it still.
Yeah. Also the creeper, that page reminded me that the creeper being there.
Yeah.
He was in Syria, right? When he went missing, because he was the reporter that was held hostage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was reminding because when Creeper showed up, I forgot why he was there, and then it just.
Gary Frank draws Superman's cape like if you're making a movie and you always have like a fan or just off the side of the stage just to make sure there's always a bit of flow to the cape. That's what he's thinking when he's doing it. He's like, no, there's always a bit of a draft, just so there's enough.
It's not quite alive like Doctor Strange's cape, but it's barely moving.
It's just enough that it feels like there's natural movement to it. Like, every time he moves, it doesn't just hang still behind him, which I feel like you usually see.
Yeah, and what's notable is the next scene is actually kind of the last scene in the book. It obviously cuts to some reactions from other people as we go, but there's less scenes in this issue than there has been typically. But they're all big scenes. They're the big notable scenes. This is not a complaint. It's just an interesting observation from a structural point of view that this one chooses to focus so much into this one big final scene in Russia.
Well, I feel this is the second act break, right?
Yes,
so
that was the end of the second act. This is where things are starting to get bad, like really bad.
Yeah.
Because Superman ends up looking kind of bad here, and it's obviously not to us. We know what he's doing, we understand what he's doing, but publicly on the media, this is what it looks like.
So Here's my one issue with this book, and I know what Johns is trying by tying it in to real world stuff.
Oh, so Putin, you don't like
But
Putin's here?
yeah, like using real political figures, I feel like.
Yeah, I was going to mention it earlier actually. When Black Adam mentions that it was the Assad in Syria.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So like you can mention like the Syrian civil war and stuff still, and I don't feel like he had to mention them by name,
Yeah.
right? He could have just said things because now it becomes this hornet's nest of real life where not everything's black and white. And I know again that's what he's going for, but then when you use actual Putin and you name drop the prime minister, I'm not even gonna try to say that Russian name, but I just feel like we could have had stand-ins.
Yeah.
And the story still works.
It's kind of a tricky thing to answer because obviously he's made the conscious choice to use real names. He's wanted to do that, and
Right.
I think you can respect what he's trying to do with that, but at the same time you may ultimately just think, well, I'd rather it was just it's DC Comics. I'd rather it would just be as much as it's hitting real world points and it's thematically connecting to the real world, you'd rather it maybe just use other things. Especially since we're dealing with Metropolis and Gotham and Central City.
And see, the problem is that it begs the question: if we got Putin, who's in the White House? Which obviously, we saw the White House at the start of this, and it looked subtly decorated, shall we say?
So definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I mean is I always prefer when, it's not like it's Marvel where they can do that because it's such based in the real world. It's New York.
I guess the other argument is that since the original, Watchmen did have Nixon, mentioned so heavily.
But it was also an alternate history.
Yeah, it was. It's on a different world.
Yeah, but it did use real names. It did use elements that maybe that's why Johns felt it'd be weird to not use the real names now.
Well, yeah, and I get that too, but it also kind of comes off a little clumsy here in these real world names. Maybe clumsy's not the right word. It feels off. And then literally seeing Putin there at the end.
Interestingly, Russia has a law where anything that depicts Putin has to be reviewed by them in advance of it coming out. So this book actually leaked early online because they had to send the copy to Russia to
I did not see that.
Yes,
they've approved it anyway, though. Clearly,
I read about it on a forum, so I assume it's true. It sounds true. It sounds like something you'd have to do.
Yeah.
But hey,
so
I mean, to be fair, he doesn't
out
come
there,
off
and
that
someone
bad,
else is gonna try that, and oh my god, oh boy.
So Putin's giving a press conference about get after metas and Firestorm and big manhunts
especially
and all that. And Superman shows up, and as we've seen, the world kind of still respects Superman, and I think that's what's heartbreaking about this issue is that it's destroying that. That's kind of what this is that it's taking that and ruining it, and it's no longer going to be true. So Superman tries to make his peace, and this is when Batman, who's just flying around in his Batwing, just being Batman, doing what he does, turns on his I don't even know if it's communicating. I think he's just broadcasting in a frequency that only Superman can hear. The classic just go at that frequency that no one else can hear. And he tells him to shut up and stop talking. He's like, "Don't take a side, Clark. This is not a good idea. You're outside of this right now. Don't do it." And he does. He's like, "No." And obviously, I don't think anyone reading this book disagrees with what he says. It is the right thing to say.
And I completely disagree with Batman on here, too.
Well, this is the thing. I don't think Batman disagrees with him. I think Batman just knows what the fallout of this is going to be.
Yeah, Batman knows where this is going. He's like, "Hey,"
I understand that too.
You're more useful as a figure that still has respect, rather than dragging yourself into it and kind of ruining that image. One last
because now Superman is now the head of one side instead of being this neutral thing in the middle that can maybe, placate.
Right, broker, be diplomatic and whatnot. But I think this tips our hand of how each of our personalities are different. Because I look at this and I rush into things, right? So of course I'm like, oh yeah, no, Superman, I did the same thing.
But Superman's not someone who rushes into things. I think part of the point of this is that Superman feels the need to step in here, and from a logical point of view, from strategic point of view, he shouldn't because of what it's going to do to the overall conflict or the overall political battle.
Well, because he stepped right into the puppet master's hands here.
Well, obviously we're going to talk about how he's been manipulated here in a second, but because ultimately what happens here is Firestorm shows up with a kid. The military just opens fire on him. Superman obviously jumps in, takes some bullets, so on and so forth, and then a stray bullet hits one of the glass people. You know, there's the crowd of glass people who are still standing there, and they die. And the shock in Firestorm's face when this happens, and then the Russian metas then start tackling Superman, and then one of the Russian tanks smashes into one of these people, and this is when Superman's like, no, you're killing these people. So he starts like stopping the tanks, and then all of a sudden we see on the news, like, Superman's attacking the military. He's attacking the Russians.
Does look like that.
It does look like that. Even Lois, you know, in her pajamas at home, is like, oh God, Clark, what are you doing? This looks bad.
Yeah.
This looks really bad.
Let's see, I would expect Superman to do this. Like you couldn't let him stand by if
oh no,
Matt,
we're not disputing that we would expect this as well.
I know. But like even the people, like if I'm a bystander in the DC universe and I see this is going on, I don't care how much propaganda. If I believe in Superman, then
yeah, but are the people watching this in the news at home, are they seeing a tank smash into a civilian?
No, right. They think it's just dead glass people already.
Yeah.
Right, but even then, like, you would expect Superman to stop that and have respect for the dead, you know? Like, at least move the people out of the way. It doesn't gel with this, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm too close to Superman. I would be Bibbo, right? Like, so, I don't know.
Because the point is here is that for the extremists on the other side, all of a sudden Superman is the enemy. Superman is now the poster boy for everything that they fear that he can be. It's almost like a reversal like Man of Steel, where the manipulation here is to take Superman and then turn them into the Man of Steel version of him. It'd be like, no, now you can fear him. Now you actually have to... And it's not his fault. Like Superman, we know he still is standing up for what he believes in.
Unlike Man of Steel, it feels earned.
Oh yeah, sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Wow, that's a piece of subtle genius by Johns there.
And then, you know, the fighting keeps going on. Superman's trying to calm down Firestorm, and Batman's like reading signatures, like energy signatures. He's like, they're spiking. And Superman's trying to calm him down, and then he just yells, "It's not Firestorm." And then, blue flash of light. Lois drops her coffee. She's drinking coffee. There you go. She's still drinking coffee. Yeah. And then the final thing we see is Ozymandias was watching a bunch of screens and saying, "It begins." Now, the variant cover for this is very telling, because the variant cover for this is both Superman and Dr. Manhattan as puppets, and it's clearly Ozymandias' hands that are puppeteering him. So when he says it's not Firestorm, my thinking here, now I could be wrong, there's lots of potential things here. We never actually get to hear Professor Stein, and I think the voice speaking to Firestorm, speaking to Ronnie, I think it's either Manhattan or Ozymandias.
The blue energy signature tells me it's Manhattan.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Manhattan, but Manhattan is somehow also being manipulated by Ozymandias, which I then think means that whatever's happening in this book is Ozymandias has a giant plan, just like the original Watchmen, to try and fix things through some ridiculous strategy.
Catastrophic event.
This is what's really interesting to me, because that's what my first thought was too. But this was going on before Ozymandias even arrived. He's just piggybacking onto the situation.
Yeah,
right?
but that's Ozymandias. He looks in and goes, "Oh, John, you've made a mess. I'm gonna have to clean this up."
Right.
So that's what he's doing now.
What I mean is, all this stuff with the Superman theory, all of that.
Oh yeah, I don't think Ozymandias set all that up. Like you said, that was already going on. I think this here though. I think the pitting of Superman in Manhattan is Ozymandias doing, at least right now, and I think what's going to separate this from Watchmen as a story is that unlike Watchmen, our heroes are going to figure out what he's doing and stop it before it happens, as opposed to Watchmen where Ozymandias' plan went through and millions of people died.
And that in turn is going to prove Dr. Manhattan right, that there is good in people no matter what, because of the heroes being able to pull together.
I could see it.
That's what I think. So this whole pitting Manhattan against Superman, I feel that's like the selling point, but by the end they're going to be teamed up.
Which in a really sad way though. Like, what if that is actually Ozymandias' plan? And if this happens and Manhattan does see the good in people because Superman and Co stop him or stop Ozymandias, is that Ozymandias' plan all along? And that'll be like him succeeding.
That's his redemption.
Because this is the thing. Why is he pitting them against each other? Right? You know, what gain does he have to pit these two most powerful beings against each other?
Well, the way that I see the story is that we know Manhattan showed up around the 40s, right? And he wiped out the Justice Society just to kind of see what would happen in this world that the Justice Society had changed things. Yeah. Because remember, there's that whole I moved his lantern.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, and the fact that we still get to the point where there's these heroes running around. And it's almost like without the Justice Society showing up in World War II, it changed history to create this tinderbox that's there now with the different metahumans across the world.
Yeah.
And, you know.
I mean, versus the very first thing we ever said about this book is the idea, you know, back when like Rebirth issue 1 came out, is that the whole idea of fighting Manhattan and fighting Watchmen characters would be like the idea of fighting cynicism in comics. So.
Right.
Convincing Manhattan that there is good, and he will willingly bring the elements back and fix the world because he's been convinced, is kind of ultimately, you know, fighting cynicism, right? That's like, no, we prove to you that there is hope and there's reasons to believe in these things.
Right. And if this is Ozymandias' goal, right, like to make, he is maybe the most cynical bastard of all.
Yeah, but if what he learned from his fallout and his
you think he actually learned something?
Yes, and this is him.
Okay.
Through his redemption, he learns now that he has to be the fall guy. Because remember, it only came out what he did because of Rorschach's journal.
Yeah.
He didn't account for Rorschach's journal. And so now he gets to redeem himself, and that means him taking responsibility for all of this when it's done. And even it costing him his life, he's fixed one world at the cost of his own.
Yeah, and this is why I think that it's potentially him that sent Los the material rather than Rorschach.
Yeah.
I could totally see that being the case, because if this is all part of his master plan, if he wants her digging around in there.
Yeah, because what is it to Rorschach that the Justice Society existed? Like those names don't really mean anything to Rorschach, you know. But to Ozymandias, who sees the bigger picture throughout all of this, he seems to have it figured out. You know,
and if so, where did he find the footage? Where does it come from?
Right, exactly. He must have gotten it from Manhattan, because Manhattan can, you know, he's a walking TARDIS, right? Like he can go back and forth in time and space and whatnot. So, you know, he is kind of the Deus Ex Machina here. He is God from the machine.
Like, yeah, what if this whole mission is Ozymandias just trying to prove to Manhattan that there's a point in trying?
Yeah,
could be.
I mean, that could be it. It could be more complex than that. I mean, maybe the variant cover's misleading, but given that it ends with him saying it begins, and I assume at the start then with the book he's picking Firestorm. Firestorm's the puppet that's going to trigger this.
Yeah, because he already has issues with Prozar and the USSR or USSR. That's jumping back to the 80s. Russia. Yeah. And whatnot.
That's older than
so he is only by a little bit for you, Pete.
Enough that you're calling it the USSR.
Well, it's still
I think that's just ingrained in America.
Yeah.
They can't help it.
Well, and you know, if you look at stuff, it's Russia still kind of is that. Like, yeah, they lost a lot of the territory, but that's still what they want. You know, like their leader now was a big agent and all of that during that time period. So, you know, plus they're such a great villain. It's just see it, you know. Seeing them pop up again in Creed 2.
To having Russian villains in movies.
Yeah.
Are we there again?
I think so.
Very possibly.
Cool.
You know,
I'm alright with that.
And that's not to say all Russians are evil, just the ones in the movies. Like, it's fine. Like, you know?
Yeah.
I've met plenty of nice Russians. Like, they're great. They don't smile, but that doesn't mean they don't like you. I learned that. You know? There's a phrase in Russia, smiling like an American, which means, like, smiling like a madman. because I guess we smile too much.
Russians don't smile. Matt Sculthorpe, 2018.
Just gonna look.
They smile well enough. Give them some
I don't
vodka.
know if I've ever seen a Russian smile.
There you go.
Anyway,
It's just not a default setting like it is for us. It's a different set of manners. You know.
let's stop analysing the difference between Americans and Russians, please, and move back onto the book. We're pretty much wrapping up, but I like this issue a lot. I think this one was probably the most focused issue. I mean, I suppose the Mime and Marionette issue was really focused as well, actually, in terms of it was just them. But
yeah,
and you had the Rorschach issue.
Sure, I think what I mean though is this is a really focused issue. That's not. It's not about flashbacks. But no, what I'm saying is it's focused, but it's not about flashbacks to a specific character. It's focused in that it's just this event and the leading up to it. In present day.
It was really good. Like, this is what comics are about in 2018. I feel like it's this. It's. I don't know. I don't know if it's just I'm such a continuity nut, like seeing all these pieces that John's kind of kickstarted in Rebirth that are now coming to a head now, 2.5 years later. Like,
yeah.
More than that now.
It's a boilerplate attention. Like once Superman starts speaking and Batman's telling him to shut up, to the actual conflict starting, to Firestorm exploding and Batman yelling, "It's not Firestorm." Which I think that sends shivers down you. It's like, wait, what?
There's two moments that I heard clear as day, and one is Black Adam calling Superman just a glorified firefighter. Like, I was like, oh man, he's not wrong. And then it's not Firestorm. Like, I still that's goosebumps inducing.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder, like, this explosion, we don't really get to see a lot of the effect. We see the TVs get turned off and whatnot, but the signal drops out. But did this just blow up the entire city? How big was this?
Yeah.
Moscow, Matt.
Moscow.
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 Moscow. Say it properly,
now you make me want to punch you.
Moscow. There's literally a cow in the name. Moscow.
That's not how it's pronounced.
God. See, this is why I hate Americans.
Glasgow.
Oh, I said that one right. Very good, Matt.
Yeah.
I thought I was saying it wrong.
Not Glasgow.
Glasgow.
No, not cow. No, you said it right the first time. You said it more right the first time. Glasgow. Glasgow. Ignore the W. W is irrelevant.
We don't bother with them.
Why is it there?
Yeah, because so many other words in the English language have, useless
silent
letters.
C's, silent H's, silent K's.
That's another one. You guys say, instead of H, you say H. And I prefer the H versus H. Like,
I think that's very regional dialect.
Yeah, that just depends about how you say it. I mean,
well, just because talking with you guys for so long now, it's just
I say H. Yes, I have the H sound at the start.
H is the correct pronunciation, but depending on where you are, you'll just get an H.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, like AY in front of it.
H.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because like wrestling, there's Triple H, and some people call him H online. So it's like, and when you read it phonetically, you're just like, oh yeah, that's just who he is. It's not just the letter H. Phonetics are fun.
Oh dear, what a weird wrap up to Doomsday Clock. But yeah, 4 issues left, 2/3 in, and we have 4 issues left. We will be done by the start of the summer, assuming there's no more delays.
We will be done by the end of the year.
It's not going to be delayed that much.
Oh, I don't know.
To be fair, this issue was delayed 1 week. Other than that, since it went, every other month, it's not actually. Yeah, it's not actually been that bad.
I know. I'm just not feeling that optimistic about it coming out as regular as it should.
Okay.
I think we'll be okay.
I could see. I mean, because this one was pushed a week, does that mean they all get pushed a week now? Because knock-on effect.
I don't think so. No, I don't
Is
think
week
so.
1 better for it than week 4?
It is in terms of how many books we have.
Then yes, I hope it does.
But it kicks the week off
hope it
right,
does.
or the month off right, too. Like.
Let's not overlook the fact that Carr just said, "I hope it does."
I couldn't decide.
I hope it does.
Yeah.
Unlike Connor, I have Bendis to keep me company until Doomsday Clock with Young Justice coming. So I'm okay.
Yeah,
I have
Bendis will
enough
keep us
going on.
warm. Bendis will keep us warm with Superman action and Young Justice and
With
half
his
a
brilliant
Nomi.
bald head.
Look, he's taken Superman from me. He's taken Young Justice. As long as he doesn't take the JSA, I'm fine.
Oh, it's happening.
He's got too much on his plate already. He's not doing JSA too.
Well, he's working on some secret DC project.
Yeah, but it's not JSA.
Could be GSA.
Who's your favorite JSA member, Connor?
Fate.
Stargirl.
Stargirl's second.
He won't do Fate. I can't see Bendis doing Fate.
You could do Stargirl though. I can see a Bendis Stargirl book.
That seems exactly like the sort of shit you'd want to pull.
I love it.
It makes sense. He gave us Ironheart over there. He gave us Miles. He works Teen Heroes really well. Like,
yeah, it was a
that's why he's on Young Justice, Connor.
There's a Miles Morales sale on Comixology right now, just if anyone's interested. Because the new movie's coming out,
now I just remembered I'm supposed to go see Into the Spider-Verse. I gotta.
What?
Everything he told us before the show, Pete, that he's going to go do, instead of going to see that.
Okay. Oh, was it showings today?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it came out yesterday. Pete, you're confused.
I am confused.
People I know have seen Into the Spider-Verse, and I haven't.
Yeah, but it had early showings. I don't think the official release date's actually till next week. I'm sure it isn't.
Yeah, I think the official release date is next week, but it's like, oh, here's early previews, like every day from Friday.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, there's like there was Thursday showings, then there's like Saturday showings, maybe, I guess. But it's
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
at the very least.
But the actual release date's not until like Thursday.
If it's not out till next week, I'm gonna be severely disappointed because that's what I was looking forward to this week.
I know my cinema has all these preview showings though, so I mean, I'm assuming that a lot of them do.
Yeah. So.
Let's see.
Regardless, anyway, that's Doomsday Clock. Matt, rate Doomsday Clock out of 10.
It's a 10.
Connor.
8.5.
8.5. This is a bit harsh.
What the hell? 8.5 is in no way harsh. It is beyond great.
After Matt's 10.
Well, Matt just highballed it, and he ruined it for everyone else.
I hate it when you guys are right. It is. It's only one showing a day. I have to wait till next week now. I'm so angry.
Well, that means you just have to wait until I to go see it, Matt, so that's okay. I'm okay with this news. Because I'm not going till Thursday or Friday, so I'm okay with this. Look forward to me and Matt reviewing Into the Spider-Verse next weekend, folks.
All I wanted to hear was Nick Miller as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Pete's cable jacked up again.
Yeah, he hit it. Like a dick.
He loved it. Uh-huh.
Alright, well, my mic cut out for a second there. You couldn't hear it, but I did yell son of a bitch when it happened.
Oh, no, I haven't got anything alcoholic next to me. Just on instinct, then. I reached for it.
So, yeah, my rate of the book, I am going with a 9.5. Is close to a perfect issue for me. Close. Matt gives out his 10s. Matt's a bit of a rating slut, but I like to be told.
I can't remember the last time he gave out a 10.
Probably like 2 weeks ago.
No, it wasn't.
Sorry, he's given out 2 this
week.
week.
Action Comics 9s and 9.5s, but a 10.
So, give it more than me do, anyway, I can tell you that much. But we'll move on to the second of 2 Geoff Johns books this week. See, now it feels like a DC podcast, because we've got 2 Geoff Johns books in 1 week.
But see, you said at the start, oh, is it 2003? Yeah. You know why it's not? Because we're not going to have another issue of a Geoff Johns comic for at least 2 months.
No, 1 month. Shazam's out next month.
It got pushed like really late though, didn't it?
Yeah, but it's not. It's by like a week. It's nothing.
Did it not get pushed to February?
No, that was the other. No, Shazam was meant to come out in November. Issue 2 was December. They pushed one get pushed back, and that's 2.
I thought 2 got pushed back further as well.
No.
Okay.
Because Issue 3 got solicited for February, so
Yeah, I thought they pushed it back in the month to later in January.
So no, we're fine. We're fine. We got more Shazam coming. It's fine. So yeah, Shazam issue 1. Geoff Johns, Dale Eaglesham on the art, and then I'll tell you who the backup is when we get there. Yeah, so this actually does kind of follow on from the Johns, Gary Frank
Yeah, I feel like I
Backup
probably should have
story.
reread it. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Me too. And I had plans, and then this snuck up on me with everything because I did get caught up on. Well, not all the way on Silencer. I read the first trade.
Okay.
So that took up the time that I was going to use for Shazam, and then by the time that I was like, I was going to read, but I'm going to dive into it.
I mean, I think it's fine without it. You get a couple of pages explaining the origin a little bit, and then it's like, oh yeah, a year later. So the idea is this is a year after that, the events of that story.
Yeah.
And we got John's with Eaglesham on art. Art's very good. I'll say that first and foremost.
Oh yeah, it is.
Eaglesham, a lot like Frank, has a shorthand with John's, and you can tell just by the way that everything flows.
There's certain panels actually that feel very Frankian, if that to use to make up a term.
But I feel because they're using his designs from that mini or from the backup, whatever we're calling it.
It was a backup in Justice League, wasn't it?
Are you thinking like that when Shazam first appears?
Yeah, there's a couple of the faces where it feels very, very Frank. Not every panel or every page, but there's some like that just feel very. I mean, that looks like Frank almost. It's a bit
Did
cleaner,
anyone else think he gave Shazam quite the bulge in that first
I wasn't
page?
looking. He's a child.
I know, you pervert.
It's just.
He might look like a grown man, but he is still a child.
I'm just saying they didn't try and hide it.
Yes. Well,
I'm sidetracked.
He's got the dick of Grayson. So,
oh, he has the butt of Grayson.
There's the butt of
That's
Grayson.
what that would be.
Who's the dick? Who's got the biggest dick in DC that he's taking the dick from?
I do not want to weigh in on this.
I was just about to say that. I was like, we are not going down this path.
No.
I regret starting this.
This is Carlo's fault.
So I can't finish my thought that I was going to say about how much I love Freddy in this after this. So, but I really enjoy this version of Freddy because he's disabled, but he doesn't let that dictate who he is.
I'm glad there was more of that sentence because you paused after you said he's disabled. And I thought, okay, that's a weird reason to like a character, but okay.
No, that's not his. It's like how you talk about Captain Holt on Brooklyn Nine-Nine about he's a gay man, but that's not his defining characteristic. He's the captain that's by the book. That's his, and that's with Freddy. He's still the jokester. He might be disabled, but that's not his defining characteristic.
Oh, Matt's mic's going a little bit. It's just creeping in there.
Only took till the second book this week.
I know. Well, the first book was like 40 minutes though, so I mean, I'll give it
credit. Some slack, but
so
comic effect. God damn it.
So they're at a field trip with a school at a museum, and some robbers break in wearing goofy Justice League masks, and they Shazam it up, if you will. And I love the panel when the rest of the family show up. Actually, Mary especially looks really good.
Did you guys get worried when they were at the museum and you're like, oh no, it's John's, not Tomasi. We're in good hands.
Yeah.
At the museum.
Yeah.
It didn't cross my mind.
I never thought of it, but yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
By the way, how long has Mary Marvel been referred to as Lady Shazam? Has that always been a thing, or is that
no?
Is that
it's always been Mary Marvel, but you really can't use that name right now. So
yeah, you can't have Mary Marvel if you don't have Captain Marvel, right?
Marvel.
Yeah. And I'm guessing is Freddy always been Shazam Jr.? I've always known him as Freddy.
Yes. He's been Captain Marvel Jr.
Captain Marvel Jr. Okay, right.
So it makes sense. Like you can't use that name, and they make that joke here. They don't let him finish saying Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and it's a double-sided joke as well, because on the one hand, it's the joke is that he can't say his name without turning back into a kid because it's Shazam, but it also works on a meta level. Hey, we can't say Captain Marvel anymore, so just go with it.
Yeah. That's pretty great. But I'm looking forward to see what we call the others. Too.
Yeah, because they don't have names yet. Like they have obviously, the Darla, Eugene, and Pedro, but they don't have.
Right.
There's even conflicting names on just as a team.
Yeah, what was it?
That was my favorite running joke.
The Thunder Bunch or whatever they started.
Yeah, there's the Lightning League.
There you go.
What was the Thunder one? Because that one was my favorite. Now I'm drawing a blank.
I'm trying to find it. What's the names? The Sparkly Friends, the
Thunder
Super
Squad.
Sorcerers, the Thunder Squad, the Philadelphia Wizards, the Magic Men, the Lightning League.
Yeah, that's pretty
I hope
funny.
we go with the Philly Wizards.
I feel like, I don't know, go with like Thunder League or something. I don't know.
Thunder Squad.
Well, it's just I like the fact that they're kids and they're trying to come up with a name for their group, you know. But they're going to be the family, whatever it's going to be. It's like, and I like that the driving point of this book is they are that family, and that's always been, you know, Marvel. They were always referred to as the Marvel family. So,
but we can't call them the Marvel family anymore.
No. So the Shazam family.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, this issue's pretty straightforward. They stop some bank robbers, some fun stuff. I like the joke with the cops where they're like, oh, we'll just say Superman did it.
Yeah.
Because they can't pick a name. Well, Superman did it, it's fine, just go home. But they're basically setting up their new base, which is where, you know, the train station where Billy kind of stumbled into Shazam in the first place.
Yeah, they're actually in the Rock of Eternity, though, aren't they? Because all the thrones are
there. But
right.
they call it the station. So they've got this. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze.
Yep, me too.
When they get the new abandoned subway station base. That's what it feels like to me.
It does. But I also like how they all finish eating dinner, and then they all run off to do their, quote, homework.
Yeah.
And they're exploring this area, and I like, again, Johns is great at world building, and here he's taken in just this one issue. There's a so much bigger world.
Yeah.
To Shazam.
For the record, I think it's just that new area that's the station. They know the Rock of Eternity, and they call them the place in general.
The Shazam family headquarters.
Yeah, but they're referring to that main bit they're using as their headquarters as the station, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I really. I dig it. I even love they've got a trophy wall for all the conquest, but all they have right now is the mask from those robbers and like a report card that one of them has from school.
Yeah.
Oh, it cracks me up.
It's Darla's too.
It's delightful. So it's a delightful jaunt through a new area of the DCU. I'm loving the family dynamics. It feels just right. They've got the magical train, which can take them into the Magic Lands.
I am looking forward to the Magic Lands.
Me too.
Yeah.
Here's my only issue with the book is it's following that John's formula of, hey, you know that thing you love? What if there's more of it? You know, like he did with Green Lantern.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No, but it's kind of like, I don't want to say parody because it's not a parody, but it's definitely like, here's John's. He's going to explore it, and we're going to give you, you know, each of the. I feel like this is going that each of the family are going to have a different
different patron. Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
which I'm fine with, because I feel like how long has it been since the Shazam family have had a chance to
how long has it been
out.
Since you've last seen the Shazam family?
Right.
Well, that backup in Justice League a few years ago.
Well, no, because the family, because Billy showed up in what was that, Trinity War. And
well, no, I think the last time
I
saw him in something that wasn't like a background thing. He was in issue 1 of Constantine at the start of Rebirth, randomly.
Oof.
Or Hellblazer, that was called. But yeah.
Not a good place for
randomly.
For Shazam.
And then the cliffhanger at the end of the main story is Billy's apparent father shows up wanting to see him, throwing a wrench into this.
So Eaglesham, you know they'll reference certain people when they're drawing characters.
Yeah.
This is Cavill, right?
Kinda.
He's got the spit curl. He's not as wide though. You know, like Cavill's got those big wide shoulders.
Well, I mean, they could be just covered under the coat a little bit. I don't know.
True.
I looked at the face. I'm just like, that looks like Cavill to me.
I mean, he could be Clark Gable too.
I like the touch that he's got a red scarf and then the white fuzzy hood because it's just reminiscent of Shazam's outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think this is really his dad? Like,
my guess would be no, or if it does turn out to be his dad, it'll turn out to be such an asshole that they'll still keep him in the foster family.
Right. Because I remember before John's relaunched JSA with the whole, Kingdom Come Superman as part of the team. He had the Lightning Saga. He did a story reminiscent of this where Billy's dad did come back, and he basically sacrificed himself to keep the foundations of the Rock of Eternity. And that's what changed Captain Marvel's name officially to Shazam. Because now the Captain Marvel name didn't work, so he'd have to use the Wizard's name. And that's what started all that. So I'm wondering if he's kind of going to run that back, or if he's like, okay, we'll change it ever so slightly.
Yeah, that's when they said, you know what, those Marvel Comics guys are starting to get kind of big. Maybe we should change the name of this character a little bit. Just a thought.
The big red cheese.
Yeah, big red cheese indeed. No, it was delightful. Like, I'm digging the family dynamics. I like the chemistry between all the kids. I like that it's a team book. I mean, sure, it's called Shazam, but he's not really more of a main character than the others, at least not yet.
No.
So
I mean, he is in the first like 4 pages, and then that goes away.
Yeah, I feel within a certain amount of time, the meaning of Shazam's going to change to mean the whole team. You know?
Yeah. I even like things like, him and Mary arguing about who's the leader.
Yeah.
Well, I'm older. Yeah, well, you only have powers because of me.
Yeah, it's like, what was it first? Screw you.
Yeah.
No, and there was a backup, because this is a more expensive book. It was $5, has a backup. Yeah. And we have art here by Mayo Nato.
Sen is what I believe they go by.
Sen. Oh, just Sen. Okay.
Yeah, that's what's on the cover credit.
Oh, is it? Okay. I was looking at the credits page on the backup itself. Sen's easy to say. I'm fine with Sen. I'll go with that. And it's got a flashback to when Mary ran away from home because her parents were, well, shite,
terrible.
Basically. Yeah.
Clearly around Christmas time.
Yeah, around Christmas time, which is nice because obviously the book's out towards Christmas. And then she, instead of getting food for herself, she donates to a charity that Santa's out, busking for, essentially.
Yeah, Salvation Army.
Yeah. And she ends up going to a pet store and she meets what's her face, Darla, and then it obviously it jumps ahead to when she's in foster care, and it just ties into the start of the book where they get the call about the museum, so they Shazam up and go off. It's really simple. It's got a really the art style is very children's book.
I loved it.
It's way too anime for me. It's the stuff in anime that I don't like, with the big eyes and the
pointy nose,
same expressions.
No, when the two of them go into costume, on the last page, I thought that was just delightful. That was a fantastic image.
And of course, the joke is that their power hits the rabbit, and the rabbit bounces out of the window with lightning.
Pops away.
Definitely going to be a thing.
Yeah, we're going to have a Shazam bunny.
Also, I do love Freddy telling her, I've always wanted a reason to pull a fire alarm, so let's steal that rabbit. In his book that he's reading too is How to Make Your Own Fireworks. Man, I love the cut of this kid's jib.
Yeah.
I hope this bunny's name is Captain Wabbit.
No, it's Hoppy.
His superhero name.
No.
Can't use his real name when he's out in the field.
I know, crypto's just crypto.
Shop.
Do you know what? I would pay $5 for this every month if we get one of these backups for all of them.
I mean, yeah.
It'd be fun to explore Darla's story. And
I think any of the kids, if the backups are that you highlight all the various family members and give them a bit of spotlight,
just one each, right?
Yeah.
I would be okay with that. I doubt that's what we're getting because they're not going to want the book at $5 the whole time.
No, but see, this is the thing. If you're going to charge that much for a book, I feel like I'm getting well worth an extra $1. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm happy to pay it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
No, the backup was fun. Obviously, I like the main story more, but the backup was fun. I think the art suited the fact that they were younger, or at least Mary was younger for the first, half of
it.
Yeah. So it suited the younger focus of it. I don't like the art as much as the main art, admittedly, though. I don't despise it as much as Matt did. Or maybe despise is too strong a word.
Well, yeah, it's not my thing. I read it fine, but if that was the main look of the book going forward, I probably would drop. Just because.
Given if Johns was still writing it, you'd just drop the book because of that art.
Maybe.
No, you
wouldn't.
I'm allowed to talk.
These are lies.
Guys, we know this.
Like I just said, though, I think the art suited it better when she was a young kid. Once they grew up, once it was present day again, and it was them turning into costumes, I actually think that's where the art kind of falls a little bit because it feels so different to the rest of the book, even though it shouldn't have changed back.
I think it's actually in the coloring.
That's fair.
I really liked the coloring.
There's an extra muted layer in the flashback level, and then it becomes more block and defined in the last couple of pages of it.
I think it worked really well for the flashback part of it when she's a little kid. I think it gave it this dreamy, childlike, Christmassy feel that worked for it. So,
Yeah.
But it was solid. Set us up. I'm looking forward to reading this every month. We have a monthly John's Comics, guys. This is not a drill.
Yeah.
For now.
Shazam.
It's a happening.
Remember DDO saying that we were waiting for the team? Was it Johns and Eaglesham, or you think he was just blowing
I don't know
smoke?
if it was Eaglesham. I think they were waiting on Johns.
I think it was definitely waiting on Johns, and he's been tied up, right?
Yeah.
That's why we've not had anything from him.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it was Johns, and I think this is this.
I don't know if Eaglesham was the one artist, although I mean, could have been. He was probably on the short list.
I mean, he's doing 3 Jokers now as well, so he is working on multiple books. I feel like if he has the one ongoing and then like 2 minis that he's doing at any given time, that might be the new kind of status quo going forward. But he's yeah. So I guess we'll rate Shazam then. Matt, what are you giving it?
This is a 9. This is a whole lot of fun.
Carlo?
I thought we were getting a second 10 from him this week. Then, no, I'm going with a 9 as well.
Yes, I will also agree with the 9. We were unanimous on Shazam, so that's cool. So we will move on then to Batman issue 60. Tom King writing, Mikel Janin and Jorge Fomes on the art. So yeah, there's 2 artists on this one. The art is kind of split up. The Batman stuff is by Fomes. It's definitely a it's a simpler style, but it's got a.
It is so pulpy.
Pulp noir, yeah.
Pulp noir.
Oh,
and then
man.
Janin's on the other scenes. Because there's three kind of like running plots that are going. I mean, they're all the same plot, but the Gordon scenes with Bullock at the precinct and Montoya as well. And then you've got the Penguin and Alfred stuff, and then you've got the Batman stuff. Batman stuff is the other artist. And this is, again, it's the idea of breaking down Batman's like support system, and like, because ultimately this builds up to Gordon smashing the bat symbol, Dark Knight's.
Oh my god, that moment, was not expecting it when he went to go get the bat.
Yeah.
That was signed by the baseball team.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go try and like beat up Batman with his bat.
Well, I didn't think it was going to be Batman with the bat. I just thought like, I don't know what he was going to do, but it wasn't smash the signal.
Yeah, it was just,
right?
I mean, not maybe beat him up, but just use it as a weapon to like tell to tell him it means business. But I'm like, do you really think a bat's going to do it? I mean, Batman doesn't give a shit about a baseball bat.
Look,
but
we all know that Batman picked his name because he is terrified of bats.
Yes. We always just thought it was the flying mammal, but no, it turns out it's the Louisville Slugger too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But coming from his best friend, threatening him, well, not best friend, his like best work friend, threatening him with a bat, I feel that would have gotten some sense into Batman.
That would have been funny.
Bruce.
What Batman's up to though is he's very angry. He's trying to prove that what's going on with Bane is true because he doesn't know for sure, and he's beating up various villains. Maxi Zeus. I love the page with it's like because we see him beating up like 2 different villains, and then there's just a 1-page version where it's just Kite Man saying "Hell yeah" after he gets punched.
Well, was it Kite Man? That looked like Condiment King to me.
Because
look, it was Kite Man. That's why it says "Hell yeah."
He's in the green. It's Kite Man.
Is he? It looked like he had the things on his arms that weren't kite. So I got confused.
No, he's got the backpack on. For the kite, he's got the purple aviator goggles. It's Kite Man.
So I thought that was weird. He was giving it to Condiment King.
Yeah, sure. This is Condiment King, and that in Aries with Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman. Yeah, sure, Matt. Well, let's move on.
Matt ruined a hell yeah for himself.
Well, I think hell yeah is a little bit overdone now. So.
Oh, No.
Yes.
No. I can go forever. I can go forever.
Hell yeah, it can.
Oh, that's not okay. I know what it is. It was motion lines. I was reading it so quick. Oops, I bought my computer. I was reading it so quick at work to try to fit it at the break. Yeah.
Jesus. I like the 2-page layout early on that kind of set up all the 3 storylines we were following.
The credits page.
Yeah, there's the big wide page, so the 3 wide panels, just saying, here's the 3 things we're following throughout the book. Because I think this in the last couple issues have done a really good job of having like 2 or 3 things going at the same time, but making it very clear how they all interact with each other and so on. My only complaint about the Batman art is I think the ears are too small.
No, here's my thing: is I love this art.
Yeah,
I might prefer this art over Janin's.
You're crazy. It's good, but
no, but I don't know. It speaks to me, but I don't think they work well together in the same book.
That's fair. They're very different.
I think it works in the way that King wants to shock you out of the Janin's comfortable, right? We're used to Janin.
Yeah, I guess
So-
if you read it as Batman's going unhinged, and this is how the other characters are seeing him. So to us, the art changes because he's in a different world now than everyone else.
I think I don't know. I think my problem is on that first page. You know, you see Gordon in the rain, and then it cuts to the rain in Gotham with Batman, and it looks like I've gone to a different world entirely, like a different planet. Like I'm not even in the same place now, and I don't know. It kind of takes me out of the moment.
See, I see, but that's why I like it. And even says elsewhere. Also, it's very reminiscent of Year One.
It
is,
is
yeah.
actually. Yeah, that's good. That's good
So-
point.
Especially in the color palette.
And
Yeah.
it's almost like they're running that back, that's where Gordon and Batman's relationship was built, and now it's being destroyed.
Yeah, it's going backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love.
I like how he dealt with Firefly.
Montoya getting a
the
cameo.
book
I
trick.
liked as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Bullock being around. I feel like we don't get enough Bullock these days.
Yeah, that's true. I love the panel of Alfred feeding Penguin a fish. He just holds it above
So
his mouth.
creepy.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
Yeah.
It's good though. 'Cause
Okay, so
they've got him blindfolded for the record. So.
because he's being held in the Batcave for his own safety.
I have to admit, I've never been that into the version of Penguin where he's like, "Yeah, give me the raw fish."
Yeah, me neither.
I've never really had that. Penguin's for a character for me is like he's a fine supporting like villain who's there to like for plot reasons. I've never loved the Penguin as a
I
character
love
on his
when
own.
he's like the slimy businessman, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's got the name. It was a nickname. He's short, right? And these things. But I don't like when he's like, no. I'm gonna eat fish.
Yeah. No, I like it that there was a name they called him behind his back.
Yeah.
You know? And then he took it and ran with it.
I agree with all this, but the panel of him feeding the fish is just so creepy and weird that I'm into it.
Here's my thing. I know he's got an infatuation with birds. But when he starts talking about Penny, and he mentions her feathers and beak, is this just an extended metaphor? Is he actually talking about a damn bird? Tom King, I need to know.
I'm going to believe.
No, he said, he said her beautiful black feathers.
Yeah.
Her petite hundred's beak. My pretty little. It feels like it is, doesn't it?
Was he buying a bird? Is that what we're asking?
I think that might be what King is saying.
Because, I was up and I was like, oh no, this was his secret wife. We didn't know about her.
I was going with metaphor. By the way, the page where Gordon actually smashes the bat signal's maybe my favorite page though of the book.
Oh, good.
It's beautiful.
I like the panel of him with the signed baseball bat slung over his shoulders. It was like, I'll bring it back. And then his coworker's like, well, look, now you're officially the Batman.
Actually, that said, the very next page, Batman arriving back at the manor and it's all in silhouette and the Batmobile also looks really nice. That's a really nice panel.
Mm.
I like that. So yeah, the big thing at the end here though is that someone shows up at the cave to take Penguin and gives Alfred a bit of a bonk in the head as well. And when Batman shows up, we finally see who it is. It is Flashpoint Batman. Who
makes no goddamn sense.
Well, we knew he was in the fray. We'd already seen him. This is just the first time he's actually.
I don't know how much we spoke about how he was here. When
I think we were just confused and didn't know how. But
yeah, I've had thoughts following this.
Okay, go on. Hit us with your thoughts.
Well, I mean, do you recall the last before in Batman in this run, the last time we saw?
It was the end of the button, I assume.
It was, and what was happening at the end of the button?
His world was being erased as they were running out. Yeah.
By
Manhattan, I think.
Exactly. And if Manhattan saved Jor-El to become Oz,
okay,
against Superman, why not?
But that's because this universe's Jor-El though. This is not this universe's.
Yeah, but this he might to Manhattan. This version of Thomas Wayne is more effective.
Yeah, more useful because of who he's become. Whereas the actual Thomas Wayne from this world would actually just be a really nice doctor man who wanted to help
whereas Jor-El was, there's stuff going on there you can play with.
No, okay.
I'm like, how else does he survive?
I mean, I think back at the start of Rebirth, we were constantly saying how things in the books might somehow relate to Manhattan and how it might all connect to.
No, I know, and we haven't done it in a while. But I'm just like, that's the only way I can think.
I mean, hey,
of
Green Lantern hit us with a reference like last month, so it's not impossible.
So then that page of Bane was definitely, it wasn't, you know, a representation of his plan. They actually were all standing there, so that means Gotham Girl's involved.
In some capacity, yeah.
Yep. Joker and Riddler.
Assuming it's not some sort of shapeshifter, yes.
Working, are working for Bane.
Yeah.
Don't want to know how that works. I mean,
one of the
40
Jokers,
issues.
So yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not, as you say, it's still like 40 issues to explore this and dive into it. But no, I feel like this run's been quite consistent the last little while, where it's working to this overall idea. It's this building to like Batman being torn down and how we're going to fit all these extra villains into it, and Batman not knowing if Bane is really awake and behind all this, and like that making him more enraged and that making him look more of a maniac to everyone around him. That's kind of what we're doing here.
I like that.
I add in some great art, you know.
Well, and they went back to the Freeze video too. I want to see where he beat him up a bunch of times, you know. So this is all Bane's working. This plan has different like alternates too, because he never expected Batman to get Freeze. You know what I mean? Off of that.
Yeah, he is being played like Superman and Manhattan are being played in Doomsday Clock.
Pretty much.
Yes, he's playing right into it.
And maybe that's how he realized Superman was being played, because he's already been played.
That's true, yeah.
Doomsday Clock supposed to be after all this?
It is indeed, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Maybe that's why he's got the experience. He's like, no. I recognize the signs, Clark. Trust me. Someone's behind this. Trust me, don't repeat my mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this is also interesting because there was that whole issue where Clark wrote that journal entry to his mom, or Bruce wrote that to his mom, not his dad. So King has established a relationship with Martha, but not so much with Thomas. So the fact that now Thomas is coming back, it's super interesting to see how this works now.
Martha? Why did you say that name?
God, don't remind me of that stupid movie.
Oh, dear. What's funny, actually, is I won't spoil it. I will just say that the Flash 100 makes better use of the fact that multiple characters are named Nora, way better than that movie made use of the fact that multiple characters are named Martha.
Well, that's because it's better quality creators on the Flash than on Batman vs Superman.
And they're not even that good a lot of the time. There's a lot of bad episodes of the Flash,
especially lately.
But that's why I'm enjoying it. Though. But Nora, come on.
Nora's pretty great.
Nora's great. She got her own show. I'd watch that over the Flash.
So would I, to be honest.
And Nora's pretty good. Too many excess characters. I need to jettison some of those characters out of the show.
But not excess.
Not excess, no. Yes, no. Too many excess characters, but excess herself, not so much.
She's not the problem. God, give me a Legion show with her.
Oh, Matt, you're actually one episode away. The next episode you're going to watch, I think, ends with my favourite cicada line.
That guy, too. Not that this is the TV podcast, but...
Oh, he's awful.
Oh my God. And someone I follow on Twitter has been talking crap about Cicada and how he's enjoying the Flash so far, and then Cicada shows up and it makes him want to throw his TV out the window. And I didn't get it until this last episode.
Cicada's so bad.
Oh yeah, he crosses the line at the end of the next episode you're on, Matt, where he becomes so terrible it's hilarious, and that's where it hit.
Because right now he's just terrible, and he has that heat where I just want him off my screen.
Chris Klein is an awful actor. I'm just going to say it. He is garbage.
Yep. Yeah.
He was bad in American Pie. I've never seen that second Street Fighter movie, but I watched the compilation on YouTube of all of his lines of dialogue.
I don't think you need to see it. It's a Street Fighter movie.
Which also starred Kristen Crook, for the record, right? That's the quality we're dealing with here.
If that was a movie I enjoyed, I would try to get it on Overload just because you raging against it would be great. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
When the next Street Fighter game comes out, Pete.
I'm not committing to a damn thing. I'm not committing to it. Although, for the record, during the month of March, me and Cargo review, if not all, then most of the Batman movies for Detective 1000. We're making a plan of it.
We're aiming for all.
What's that?
We're aiming for all.
We're aiming
Just
for all.
time permitting.
Time permitting. Yeah.
You guys doing Mask of the Phantasm too, or are you skipping that one?
Time
Just the live
permitting.
action?
We're starting with it. The 7 main live action ones are the sort of the first to get done, and then we'll start squeezing in more if we can.
I think Mask of the Phantasm won't, because we will be starting to work through the animated series soon anyway.
Yeah, because we can end the animated series with that instead. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But hey, so what were we talking about? Batman. Let's rate Batman.
Yeah, I think it's time to rate.
Yeah. What are you rating him at?
That's solid 8. I mean, the art was really good, but just the story. There's just certain parts where I'm kind of like, King, what are you doing, bud? Like, I'm still invested and I'm still seeing it through, but just like,
I feel like when Matt's
Penguin...
describing why he gives something an 8, it sounds almost like he's explaining why it's not higher. Like, this is negative. This is an 8 because of these negative qualities.
Yeah. Most people are like, it's an 8 because it's all these good things.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna go 7.5. It could have been an 8, and the art was jarring, even though I like both of them. Do you know what could have fixed it? It's having a third artist. If it had been 3 different for all of the strands, that might have helped. The fact that 2 of them were clearly Janin and they were unrelated to each other.
Yeah, Penguin and Alfred should have been someone else.
Yeah. That might have helped.
Yeah, so it's really been a trio of artists. Whereas it feels like they still split it up well enough where it still feels justified, and we thematically said, okay, here's why this Batman part is the one different part, because of he's the one that's been extreme, he's the one that's been the outlier. But it does also kind of feel like that was just a good excuse that they came up with after that Janin didn't have enough time to finish the book. So this is why we're doing it. But we justified it thematically enough that I'm okay with it, but it's fine. I'll give it an 8 as well. I like the art a lot. And I am liking what the run's doing. I don't think it's a landmark issue that stands out amongst some of the greater ones, but it's eternally solid. So
I want to know more about the Penguin's wife. If she's really a penguin, it's gonna
go check King's Twitter. He's probably answered it.
I don't think he has. I think he's gonna make us wait. I think it's gonna be one of those things.
I was going to tweet at him, is Penguin effing a bird, or was he effing a bird, and just see what he says.
I really hope you just get a really blunt response to that.
Anyway, we will move on. So next up then, we have Justice League 13. This is a Legion of Doom issue. So it is James Tynion IV and Guillem March on art. Regrettably, Guillem March. I don't like him that much.
Sometimes I really like him. I don't feel he's a fit here. It needs to be a dark Gotham story.
Some of his Lex faces were making me groan a little bit.
Some of his Joker faces.
I'm going to go out on a limb and just say this issue's awful.
Yeah. I'm with
and not just in the art.
No. I don't like a lot of, like... All right. So I'm going to cut through it here. I like what Joker had to tell Lex. I do not like the execution of it all.
Yeah, this is... Because Joker monologue.
Yeah.
But not like this. And I don't think there's almost nothing in this issue out of Joker's mouth sounds like the Joker. I don't think the art helps where his Joker just looks demented and weird.
I like demented Joker, but it's demented in a. Do you know what it looks like? It looks kind of like the witch from the Wizard of Oz with the big nose.
Kind of.
He's got kind of that going.
The art was a big turnoff. His Lex, I mean, the coloring too.
I mean, what I like the idea of Lex showing up in the middle of one of Joker's crazy plans and being like, this is kind of fun in a maniac kind of way. It kind of criticizing the plans a little bit.
I like the fact that Lex is constantly looking down on Joker. And Joker knows that, so he plays it to his advantage.
Yet
so I like
also thinks that Joker is the pinnacle of human evolution.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm guessing that ties into the whole, it's not justice, it's doom that is the driving force for the multiverse.
It does fit in with that. I just feel like Tynion worded
what is it he says? He's like the smartest, most intelligent peak. I can't remember what the exact...
Yeah, but he's using it in the Doom perspective where everything's about self-interest. Joker only does stuff for himself. He's not doing things...
I feel like I like most of the plot things the book sets up. Like, I like the idea that they're refilling their ranks. We don't have... Manta anymore. Joker's gone by the end of the issue, so they're calling in others. But then the others, you know what? No, we don't want anything to do with this.
Y'all are crazy. Yeah, even by our standards.
I like that. It sets up the Batman Who Laughs for his miniseries, which is starting like next week, week after.
That's what I like.
Next week.
Yeah.
it fits in with Snyder's Joker. That's the scorned lover, right? That's what Endgame was all about. And here, this was kind of like that, but with Joker. He's like, I told you don't mess with the Batman Who Laughs.
Which I like
You
that
mess with the
idea
Batman
is
Who Laughs.
continuing, is that Joker doesn't like the idea of the Batman Who Laughs. So to him, that's like this abomination. Because the idea of like something that's so bad that it terrifies even him, or makes him uneasy, is a nice idea, and I like that that's still going. But I can't really disagree with anything else that's been said. I don't like the art very much. A lot of it was far too wordy for what it is.
And it's just, I don't understand, because Tynion's done all of these villains issues.
This is only the second one, but yeah.
Okay, but he did an issue a couple of issues ago with him on his own.
He did
right?
2 of the issues of Drowned Earth.
Right.
No, he did the first Justice, the whole Doom thing.
Yeah.
Where we learned about Lex. And then there's the second one. What was the second one about?
Wasn't there? Cheetah?
There was Cheetah and
okay, there was a second one.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only thing I'm missing then, though, because he did 2 of those Legion of Doom issues, and he did 2 issues of Drowned Earth.
Right, but this is what I mean. So he's got a handle on this book already. I don't understand why this is so bad.
And I don't want to blame Tynion, because he's probably working from plots that this has to fit in with Snyder, what he's doing. But I feel like Snyder's already going Snyder sideways.
No, but this is the thing. The plot isn't the problem in this issue. It's all in the script that is the problem. I mean, the art as well. But in terms of the writing, it's all the script of just being nonsensically wordy, even by, this book's standards.
Right.
And the words don't feel like they should be coming out of these characters' mouths. They don't feel natural.
I wonder if it's rushed. I think one of my worries when they announced these Legion of Doom issues is that they might feel like they were just forced extra issues to account for Snyder and Co needing more time for other issues. And I didn't really feel that with the last 2. This one does kind of feel that, though, and it does set up some important plot details here or there for a couple of things. But it does feel more like a fill-in as opposed to some of the previous ones did. I'll
be honest, there was a chunk towards, in the middle towards the end with Joker going off on one that I started skimming it. I couldn't read all of it. I was just like, no.
It took me like 3 sittings to read, because it started getting real wordy, and I was like, well, what else do I have to read? And I had to go off and read that instead. So
yeah. I mean, this doesn't make me worry about the runner in any way.
I am after Drowned Earth, which Drowned Earth was kind of cotton candy filler fun, kind of.
It was fine. It was here's just your event for a while.
Yeah, that's all it was. But it was fine as that.
I hope Hawkworld gets back into some of the stuff.
Snyder actively said that after this, they're slowing things down and doing smaller moments for a bit. He wanted to open with the big bombastic totality stuff, but it's slowing down.
I like that.
Well, did you guys see the solicit for the annual that they're going to the source wall?
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah,
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, it doesn't make me worry for the running anyway. It's just, I don't know, because I don't even think this is like one of Snyder's weird things here. I don't even think it's his fault. It's weird because Tynion's usually better than this, so I don't want to blame him either. But I do think it is the script. It is the dialogue. And
I think it's the script, and then the awful art just kind of puts it over the edge.
I don't know if it's a case of Snyder said, "Oh, this is the points they have to get across," and I don't know if Tynion, given the fact that he was doing 2 crossovers over 2 months and everything else, maybe this was a rushed issue compared to everything else.
Because most of the stuff we read by him, even in Drowned Earth, was pretty good, and then his Justice League Dark's been decent, and Tech.
His detective, yeah. That's what I mean. Since Rebirth, he's been on fire. Like before, he was a bit hit or miss. Don't get me wrong. He had some really good stuff, and he had things that were, less than great.
I honestly just wonder if this one kind of fell through the cracks and it was rushed compared to everything else, because he was doing because in October he did all 5 issues of Witching Hour, and then in November he did the first special for Drowned Earth and one of the issues in the middle. Plus, he did his own issue of Justice League Dark, and then he's doing this month with Dark as well, obviously. So I'm wondering if this was just a case of time
too much at once,
and that was just.
Because I really like those first 2. I like catching up with the Legion of Doom.
This is the only issue of the book that I think has been a bad issue, and it's 1 out of 13 plus the 2 Drowned Earth specials, if you want to count those. So 1 out of 15.
Yeah.
That's fine. We can have an off issue. It's just disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the future of the book, though.
Yeah, especially since...
I'm looking forward to those smaller moments.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to the smaller moments as well. I don't think there's any reason to be... If you've been enjoying it up until now, I don't think there's any reason to be worried.
Some of the best stuff in the book has been the team playing off each other and having little bits of banter.
Yeah.
So playing up smaller.
That's why I'm excited for Manhunter and John and Hot Girl to see how they're all gonna relate.
Yeah. So no, rough issue.
It's weird to come into a week and Justice League has been so consistent at its even during Drowned Earth at its worst. It was like, it's still alright. It's fun enough.
Yeah, I had fun with Drowned Earth. I mean, obviously it had some inconsistent art things going here. There was, as always with Snyder's, the one issue in the middle that is so exposition heavy that I want to throw it out the window. And the same thing happened in the first arc as well, though. I mean, I enjoyed that first arc a lot overall, but there was that one issue in the middle. Same with Metal. Metal had that one issue in the middle that I thought was easily the worst issue. Yeah, because it was just, here's all the exposition mumbo jumbo.
And this is the thing, I went into this going, it's Martian art.
Yeah.
All right, let's get through this.
I never noticed. I didn't really pay attention, and then I read a couple of pages and went, "This art's a bit rough. Who is this?" And then I went back. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. It's like I went in going, "Oh, okay, let's get through this." But at least the script would be fine. And then, oh god, I hated it.
All right, with that, Matt, what are you giving it?
It's a 7. Yeah.
Carlo.
It's not a 7. I just want to see what you guys are going to say.
Okay.
This is a 5. It's yeah.
Still feels generous to me.
No, yeah, you guys know 5's low for me. I rarely go below that.
Carlo, what are you giving it?
I'll give it a 2.5.
Oh,
I think it's atrocious.
That was hatred. That's Lobdell levels of hatred.
There were chunks of this I had to skim read. I couldn't get through it all.
I think it was as bad as a 2.5. I thought it was...
No.
If this wasn't Justice League, I would not have finished this issue. There was a point where I was just like, I don't want to read this anymore.
I mean, I think it was that treacherous to get through. I thought it was just really mediocre. So I actually will... I will slightly undercut Matt and say 4.5. So, there you go. Matt loved it the most. Moving on. Moving on to The Green Lantern issue 2, Grant Morrison writing and Liam Sharp on art. The first thing I'll say about this is about halfway through this issue, I stopped reading it and went, can I remember what happened in issue 1? And I couldn't. Outside of the ending and what the last cliffhanger was, I couldn't remember a damn thing about issue 1. I had to go back and skim read issue 1 so I could continue reading issue 2 and have a sense of what was going on.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I like this series 2 issues in. It's you know.
I thought this was weaker than the first issue.
Really?
Yeah.
I do like that he's playing with Lantern mythos. Rotlop fan is he's a species that doesn't have sight, so they don't have any comprehension. So everything's done through sound. That was an Alan Moore creation, and he had his own oath that was all about the F-sharp bell instead of Green Lantern's light. So I like that Morrison's going back and pulling stuff like that. The rest of the issue, is that supposed to be Lady Styx from 52? Because I was getting Lady Styx vibes.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I didn't.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But just kind of the stuff and the bird lady. This feels like, because she's Zudarian. Because she doesn't feel like any Zudarian I've ever read.
I don't know. I thought maybe, but I mean, she's just there's probably a lot of avian species.
Yeah. Right. So this doesn't feel like it's modern Green Lantern continuity. This feels like
I want to see that nuclear head in live action. I want to see what that looks like in motion.
Oh,
is it a nuclear head or a volcano?
Volcano.
A volcano head, whatever.
Yeah. His name is Volk.
Because it's constantly erupting, and I want to see what that looks like in live action. Is he not just leaving a trail of volcanic lava and ash behind him?
It looks glorious, is what it looks like.
It's such a Morrison concept, though, right? That was Zorn.
I doubt he invented it. This is probably a deep pull from the 70s or something like that.
I don't know, man. This feels like Zorn when he was writing New X-Men. Zorn had a head that was a black hole. You know?
So the premise here is that they're questioning the Spider from the first issue. Meanwhile, the villains are breaking out Evil Star to get component number 3, which turns out to be his star brand on his wrist. And he ends up in the hospital, and Hal's like, "Hey, kill 2.5 million people. Don't treat them too nicely," kind of thing. But they're seeking components to build the ultimate weapon or some shit.
There you go. That sums it up. Or some shit.
Or some shit.
I mean, the planets are vanishing.
But, well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the cliffhanger is the Earth's not there, which, by the way, is less effective when Superman literally just did this.
Exactly.
Well, I didn't read that, so
right,
this works
exactly.
fine for me.
And I feel like Bendis did it a little bit better because there was a build up to it. You know?
Well, I like the shock value here at the end most. The final couple pages, I like the first page when we see Oa. It's a really nice page of just the cityscape.
It's a gorgeous page, yeah.
I think the art is actually really hit and miss a little in that, though.
Yeah.
With a lot of the general, aliens and people.
Yeah, it's the inking and coloring too, because Sharp's doing it all himself, right?
Yeah, I think so. No, I don't think so.
No? So maybe that's part of it.
I'm sure I saw a different
Steve
colorist.
Olive is colorist.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So I assume he's doing the inks himself.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like it feels like Sharp, but it feels off too at the same time.
I think the colors are a little bit flat. Is maybe what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like the book when it gets into the detective bit. Like the police questioning the suspect stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that
stuff,
whole section plays fantastically.
Well, that's where it feels like it actually flows like a story to me. I think Morrison has this thing sometimes when he's doing a lot of his weird characters that I find it hard to follow some of their conversations for one reason or the other. Like, he likes to write dialogue in a really offbeat way that I think makes it harder to follow when you're reading it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
very distracting trying to read Volk's dialogue when there's these like little lava interruptions.
Yeah.
Which might play better on screen, but when you're trying to read it and it's just
because I feel like I have to stop and think about this when I'm reading Morrison sometimes really hard, but not in a way where I'm trying to interpret what's going on and I'm thinking thematically and I'm thinking like, oh, and I want to analyze every word. I have to think really hard because it just feels harder to read, just from a straight up diction point of view. Like I have to actually think about the sentences and how they flow together.
Yeah.
It's not something I have to do with other writers. And the one hand you say, well, it's because he's a genius and he's doing all these weird things, but now I'm like, yeah, but shouldn't it be the writer's job to make it flow?
I never really have experienced this with Morrison. This what you're describing here.
I hear what Pete's saying in some of his higher concept stuff.
Yeah.
Like in the things that, but like when he's writing like decent superheroes, like in Justice League of America, it's not a problem. But here, when you're adding these type of characters and there's really big word balloons, I do too. I kind of drift off during the sentence and have to go back.
That's the page early on with Volk talking to these other aliens. By the prime tribe, I failed the community. I failed in my deputy as the F Sharp Bell Toolface for the first time. And he's like, well, no, actually, there was a one-time bangarang and a reverbees. That probably counts as failure when you think about how it turned out. I had to stop and just think about what the hell they're talking about. I don't understand what was happening.
Okay. I mean, I can't argue with it if it didn't. If it's funny when you're reading it, right? That's how I feel about Bendis. It's like the dialogue just doesn't land for me. It doesn't make sense to me a lot of the time.
I guess that's fair. It's just one of these things where maybe if it was like actors saying it out and they had like a rhythm to it, maybe it would work better. But
exactly. I feel like Morrison knows the rhythm, but he doesn't know how to tell us what that rhythm is.
Yeah. And honestly, it does make a lot of his work hard to get through for me. I'm very hit and miss on him, depending on what he's writing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like some of this is dipping into some of the weirder dialogue that Morrison does that I just find difficult to really get into. It makes his book feel a bit more like a chore to read than it should. And if one thing really sticks out to me about a book is that I don't like when it feels a bit like a chore. Like I should enjoy flowing through it. I should enjoy wanting to get to the next page over and over again. I hit my mic there. Did it go? It didn't. Okay, good.
No, you're good.
I was a little bit worried. But yeah, because when I got to the end, I was like, okay, all right, we teased, we had the buddy cop stuff a little bit. We teased what the villains are doing, Black Star.
I'm gonna miss Black Star. That guy, that bit where he's with the others and he's going over his name, like why
Evil Star.
As Evil Star. No, because they rename him Black Star, don't they? That was the thing. They want to call him Black Star.
Okay, all
right. He was trying to be the inverse of the Green Lantern.
Yes, and that ended up at Evil Star.
Yeah, I feel like the inverse of Green Lantern would be, what's the inverse of green on the color circle?
Because it would be purple,
purple,
right?
Yeah, purple would be the inverse. So it'd be purple something. Purple
Star.
Yeah.
I feel like inverse would be something that doesn't make light.
Well, it wasn't always inverse here. So it's a satirical take. They're green, so I'm evil. And then and Star is brighter than Lantern, so it's badass. This whole section, I love this.
Green is the opposite of...
the other two are there going, I mean, at least he put some thought into his name. And the other was like, yeah, but Evil Star.
It was vaguely amusing. I wasn't like super into it. But Purple Shadow, there you go. That's the opposite of Green Lantern. Kinda.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm murky on this book. And I was worried I would be, because Morrison can sometimes do this with me, where I just don't get into the way his stories flow together. I don't know, maybe it'll grow on me. I'm not done. I'll read issue 3 and I'll see where it goes from here. But, yeah. It's funny, it is noteworthy though that I put this off to almost the last book.
It was it would have been the second thing I read if I hadn't misjudged time a little bit, and then it ended up being like the fourth. But no, I'm really digging it.
Yeah, Morrison's just hit and miss for me. Some people just see him as a mad genius, and everything does make sense. Which I guess
some people just see him as mad.
Which I guess is like, as someone who loves something like David Lynch as a filmmaker, I guess I understand that, but it's just not clicking for me a lot of the time. Like, I love his Batman run, barring like 1 or 2 sections that I think just goes full Morrison, and I'm like, yeah, get rid of those parts. I love Arkham Asylum. I love various other things. But...
Arkham Asylum is maybe the single most grounded thing he's ever done.
Which is weird because it's so surreal and like abstract.
Yeah.
It was funny. It really set me up because that was the first Morrison thing I ever read, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite books ever. And then like everything I've read from him since has been really hit and miss because I assumed I was going to love everything because of that book, and then I didn't.
I think
and then
my
you
favorite
read Kid Eternity and it just didn't.
Yeah, my favorite stuff's definitely his Animal Man run. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't read that, but I don't know. I'm
which is a bit of a. It starts off, it's really grounded, and then by the end, it's batshit.
Of course, yeah.
Things just are like going on. You're like, what's going on here? What is he doing in the book? And you're like, what?
Well, then his Doom Patrol is kind of the opposite. From what I've heard, it starts out like super out there. And the longer it goes, the more grounded it becomes.
It's weird because Doom Patrol is, as a concept, something I expect to be just weird in any way. So you expect that one, right?
Mm-hmm. So I like his Batman run a lot. That's all I can say about Morrison.
Oh, it's weird. I feel bad for the issue because I feel like the conversation is mostly just how much I don't like a lot of his dialogue here, but not that much really happens in the grand scheme of things to actually kind of.
No, I'm giving this one more issue, and then if I don't enjoy that one, then I'll probably check out.
I'm enjoying the pacing of okay, it's not a lot that's happening in terms of plot, but it's like okay, no, here's the questioning. There's a little bit going on with the villain stuff that we're kind of inching along with that, and then you get okay, here's the big shock at the end of hey, Earth's kind of gone. So I'm looking forward to seeing, okay, what's the response to that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll read issue 3. I'll see how I feel. I don't want to drop it though, because it's like the one Green Lantern book, and week 1 is typically quite quiet, so it's got a good chance of sticking around just out of, those factors. But I didn't like this issue that much. I thought it was okay. It's okay. I guess we'll rate it. Matt, what are you giving Green Lantern issue 2?
It's a 6.5, I think. because art really didn't do much for me, and the story was fine, but I don't think I'm liking it.
Connor.
7.5. I'm enjoying it.
It's not even that high a rating though, even from you.
It's not like, oh, it's great, it's amazing. I'm enjoying it though. 7.5 for me. In terms of where 7 is this is good, 8 is it's great, 9 it's like amazing. So it's 7's like 7.5 is like a very good.
Nah, I have to go with about 5.5. Took some effort to get through, and I don't feel like I got much in the end from it. So maybe there'll be some master plan later that all click out of place. But right now, I'm not feeling it that much. But that is Green Lantern issue 2. We will move on to Green Arrow 47, which I think is the final issue by Julian and Shawna Benson, and then we have art by Jermaine Peralta. So this is the end of this whole citizen thingamajig, where Oliver's been kidnapped. That happened at the end of the last issue, and he's been broadcast on TV. So Dinah dresses as Green Arrow to come and save him. So it looks like Green Arrow saving Oliver.
And that's pretty great.
It's pretty great because I want to give them credit because I saw the variant cover just as I was getting into the book, and I thought, oh, that's a nice idea, her having the arrow and like the hat, and I'm like, but I'm just conditioned to assume that the covers have nothing to do with what's in the book.
Right.
But
It's a variant cover.
Yeah, but then she actually dressed up as Green Arrow, and I was like, oh, okay, that's fun. And I actually just happened to see on Twitter earlier today, Otto Schmidt, someone requested that because of this that he draw Oliver as Dinah, so that was fun too. So okay with that. I thought it was a fun issue. Is it kind of because I think we had the one downbeat thing in the last issue where we were upset that it kind of retcon, or not retcon, that's maybe not the right word, but it gave
undid the guilt.
Yeah, it gave Oliver a get out of jail free card. Even though he's still guilty at the end of this issue, it still felt like it took away the hard drama of it. But this was just the final kind of action conflict of the arc. Oliver gives a bit of a soapbox speech on TV at the end of it all. To wrap everything up, but and him and Dinah have a new Green Arrow ship.
I think
the
aeroplane. Yeah, I think ultimately it feels fine. It's a fine issue.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's enjoyable.
It doesn't do anything that exciting. It kind of goes, okay, here's defeating the villain. Here's the lesson. Yeah,
I think the fun part is the banter between Oliver and Dinah as she's dressed as him is just because she's like, "Oh, yeah, take off your clothes," and she's like, "Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a good place."
That first few pages, whatever it is definitely the best part of the issue.
Yeah. That was kind of it. He makes a speech and everything's kind of wrapped up. And obviously this wasn't meant to be the end of the run. I'm sure the aeroplane was going to feature heavily in this run from the Bensons,
probably,
if they were going to continue, but here we are at the end, so this is just kind of what it is. And the art's solid, as it's been the last few issues.
Yeah.
I
have a question. When did Dinah put the tracker on Oliver's shirt?
Probably before he left.
Okay.
I'm sure it's an off-panel thing.
I think it's just a thing she's been doing for a while. Like, this is just a status quo thing.
Right, and that's what I thought. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. Just I'll be able to track you wherever you go.
Does it make sense in the context of when he went missing towards the end of Percy's run?
Yeah.
Where after that whole water incident, she's like, you know what, I'm going to put a tracker on you so we can always find you.
Maybe let him know, because he didn't seem to be aware of it.
I thought he did.
Also, that was the one thing I didn't like, is that it didn't seem to be part of the plan to be kidnapped by Citizen. Like, we kind of thought that maybe that's where it was going.
Yeah, I think we thought that this was intentional at the end because it was such an obvious thing.
Yeah.
They don't really say it one way or the other, though, so I'm just going to assume it still was the plan. They just don't mention it.
I do like the idea that Ollie hints that someone might pick up the Citizen mantle, but maybe for good. Because it is kind of a good idea to keep, we got to keep people in check and hold them accountable. But the way that Citizen was going about it was the wrong way. And there's kind of that flash to the person in their room, So I kind of like that idea, that Citizen showing up later as someone else with a different intent.
Yeah. Yeah, the Oliver's line is good idea putting a tracker on my shirt button down. So he could have known before this. This could have been something that he was aware of before.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was an enjoyable issue. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. There's a bit of an epilogue where he's talking about doing the right thing for Roy's memory, doing the right thing for himself. I like how it ends with Dinah, because it feels like it's building up to for himself, like that'll be the final thing, but he actually puts her last as if she's more important than he thinks himself is.
Yeah.
Which is a nice little touch, I think, just in terms of
Yeah.
the relationship.
There was a moment where I was almost confused for a second because he's got the letter that he's written for Roy, and he's like, oh, I was like, what, I'm going to tell you about that box, Roy, and I went, what? And then the next box in the next panel is like, in the afterlife. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine.
But just
gonna go to his grave and yell it.
I paused between panel and I was like, didn't we just have his funeral like 3 issues ago?
Got really confused for a second.
Yeah.
No. It was a fine issue. Enjoyable, but not standout. But that's kind of like been the arc as a whole for the most part. Had some nice ideas here. There had some good art. It's generally been a solid little arc, and that's about it. So, Matt, what are you giving the issue?
A 7.5.
Carlo, what are you giving the issue?
It's 6.
I'll go with 7. I guess I'm splitting the difference. But no, I think it's a fine 7. There you go. So that'll take us on to Adventures of the Super Sons issue 5, which is Peter J. Tomasi writing, of course, and Carlo Barberi on the art. And this is kind of a standalone issue, and the whole cliffhanger from last issue, where they run into the adult versions of themselves, turns out to be this weird experiment by these two aliens who are building the Wonder Machine.
Kane and Label.
Yes, Kane and Label. And
rough times, Tomasi.
So, yeah, and we hear narration from both adult Damien and adult John, who realise they're not real by the end of the book and kind of help because what the aliens didn't plan for is that the young real people would inspire the older versions to be heroes and let them escape. Yeah. So that's kind of what happens. But a lot of the issue is just like young John and older John like having these funny little moments where he's like guessing his favourite ice cream and stuff like that, and
yeah, and well, I love too that they. that John's Kryptonian physiology mixed with his human physiology, and that's why he has a gut.
Yes.
Because, the cooking is still too good.
Yeah.
And I also like their different fears, right? Is that they both take over for their dads, but they're doing it in their own way. And that John's fear deep down is becoming a father himself because it's too grown up. And then Damien's is, oh no, he just becomes his dad, but to the 10th degree that he has an army of Robins.
Yes. Including his own son, who's one of the Robins.
Right. So, yeah, I liked how they played with that. And overall, it fits into the run that Tomasi was doing before in Super Sons, with their lessons there and whatnot.
It's very standalone in the sense that it's solved by the end of the issue and they're still trapped in this planet. The only thing that really relates to the overall story is that we get one brief scene away where the Joker Jr. gets kidnapped by Rex. Rex blows up Space Cabbie.
That dude cannot catch a break.
And he's, by the way,
Jr.
Space Cabbie's in the trunk. Like he's like
that gets blown up.
Yeah, so he may be dead. Space Cabbie's a goner. Right. Sorry.
Nah, you can't kill Space Cabbie. He'll never die.
He's a goner. But other than that, yeah, it was just a fun banter back and forth. The art's been consistent. It's almost difficult to say anything new about it because it's the bright poppy art, solid work.
Yeah, Wonder Machine is definitely coming back through, right? Like, by the end of this?
It might be, yeah. I could see it. I could also see it just being like a tangent about their characters as opposed to actual plot setup, but who knows?
No, I mean the actual machine.
Oh, the actual machine.
They were using. Yeah.
I could see them maybe, if it survives somehow, to use it to trick someone or something like that.
Yeah. Use it against Rex.
Yeah, maybe.
Make him face his own fears or whatnot, but... Yeah, no, it's pretty fun. Like it's in line with what Tomasi's been doing, but it didn't move the story forward that much.
It's always a fun book. It's not necessarily always a long conversation though, because it is just kind of straightforward fun. I'm glad it's around. I'm glad there's we're getting a send off to these versions of the characters because John seems to be changing a bit when he comes back, and Damien's doing his Teen Titans thing, which we're not even reading, so it's nice to have Damien in something.
Yeah.
So, what are you giving it, Matt?
This was a 7.5 as well. Like it's just fun. Nothing much else there.
I will go with a 7. I think for this issue. Not a standout one from the run, I don't think, but solid enough in and of itself. So we'll move on to the final issue of the week, and we're ending with an issue 1, and that is the start of a mini-series. Because normally new issue 1s will go to the top of the show, unless Doomsday Clock's taking that slot. Sorry, Shazam. But minis we like to put towards the end of this show, and we've got Martian Manhunter issue 1, Steve Orlando writing, Riley Rossmo on the art. I think we came into this from a really interesting place because we have typically not been a big fan of what Orlando's done in Rebirth. Outside of me and Matt enjoyed most of Supergirl.
Yep.
Had some troubling, one or two troubling issues, but for the most part was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it did notably get better when someone else was co-writing, when Jodie Hauser was taking co-scripting duties there.
Just a little bit.
But, you know, GLA, we hated. We hated that
I
book.
stand by Night of the Monster Men as his best work in Rebirth.
That was fun and pulpy for what it was, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd agree with that necessarily. But so didn't like that. Didn't even try the unexpected.
Or the electric thingy-mabobs.
Electric
whatever that
Warriors,
was.
which just came out, and no one really knows what it is.
I
I've not
hear
heard-
good things on Twitter from people.
I feel no, he's got a fan base on Twitter who I've heard like mention it, but I haven't like I feel like I've seen I feel like the book was just kind of thrown out there in the middle of everything without anyone really mentioning it that much.
Yeah, Matt, you say, you've heard good things from people. That surprised me because I've heard no one mention the book at all. Like, not good or bad, just I've not heard anyone say a thing.
I've heard people talk about it, but it's weird. I think the best thing I ever heard described about it, I don't know if I said this or someone else did, but it's like a New Age of Heroes book that was for some reason late, so it never get announced with the rest of them. It just kind of randomly popped up like 6 months later.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I did just based off of the cover, got like 90s Guardians of the Galaxy based off of it. That's like it's a different future, and they all have different aspects of heroes and whatnot. And I was just like, yeah, I'll pass, you know. But Martian Manhunter.
Yeah. So the premise of this is that J'onn J'onzz was a corrupt cop on Mars, and he's kind of making up for that on Earth now as a you know. As a superhero, essentially. Well, he's a detective, specifically in this. Which seems to be... I mean, the impression I got from the detective stuff is this is back at the start of his time on Earth.
Yep.
Orlando did confirm that this is all set right after he's come to Earth.
That makes sense.
Or pretty close to.
Yeah.
And also, they've been describing this as set kind of like Mr. Miracle, to where it uses things that we'd be aware of, but it's not necessarily in continuity.
Yeah, I think the way Orlando described is it's continuity-ish.
Yes.
It's like it is, but it's so far removed from anything else that's in play at the moment that it's just standalone.
So I really enjoyed the detective stuff. Him and his partner, I thought is some of the best writing in like I've read from Orlando. Just like the banter back and forth and the you know.
She has a hell of a hairdo.
Yes.
It's one of those
typical Rossmo.
It's one of those haircuts that I feel like her head should be tilting forward at all times because the hair's just kind of coming out. It's got the big, ridiculous.
It's almost like a pompadour.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of wacky.
But yeah, the Choco reference. I'm glad that was in there.
Yeah.
If I'll go get his favorite Choco crested pie.
Well, as someone who's had an Oreo cookie pie cake thing, I can imagine what this thing is, because obviously chocos are basically just Oreo cookies. It was lovely, so I approve wholeheartedly of this.
Yeah.
This
Also,
endorsement.
it was hidden some of the stuff that I'm familiar with Manhunter. You know, like he's a cop now. He was a Manhunter on Mars, but then the way that Orlando's decided to show Martian culture, I was not ready for it.
This was building up to a butt, and I knew it was, and I was waiting for it.
Yeah. Let's. There's a wrestler here named Sin Bodhi. He was Kazarni in WWE. His whole mantra is "Let's get weird," and I feel like Orlando took that.
I mean,
I mean, you wanted Martian sex? There you go.
I
don't think I wanted it, Connor. He gave it to me.
Well, you wanted it now.
I like the detective stuff as well. I think I like the fact that it's like a really dark crime scene. The whole family's been murdered, the girl's missing, and it's like
Iguana named Spaceman.
He's using his telepathy to like read the scene, you know, in ways that the regular cops can't, and that's helping. That's a fun idea. I think that's where the art kind of excels is the detective stuff. The Martian stuff, I kind of hated.
It's awful.
See, I wouldn't say it's awful. It's just...
Oh, the Martian stuff is.
I hate it. Do you know what? See, remember the complaints I had about Green Lantern where I was having trouble following the dialogue?
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
I had the same thing here when it goes to the Martian stuff, and like it took me like a while to realize that we were seeing that Jean was like, you know, skimming money and like, you know, being a collector.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get that was the point of what was going on. 'Cause I just didn't understand what was happening for like most of that first double page spread.
Okay, and I thought there was only green Martians and white Martians. Now you're introducing gold Martians. Has that always been a thing? Like, if you guys know, let us know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
As far as I know, that's new. There are some stuff that I like because I'm not familiar with the Martian culture. The whole idea that they have a social form and that's what they present out to the world, but that's not who they are at home. I feel it's a fun commentary on real life. Because
not only did I hate the flow of the dialogue and couldn't really get the gist of it a lot of the time, I hated the art and the Martian stuff as well. I hated how Jean's head looked in every panel.
I actually, for me, that follows across to even the detective stuff. I like Rossmo's mood a lot. I do not like his faces, more specifically his heads, the head shapes. I
feel Rossmo's an acquired taste when it comes, because it took me a while. Yeah. First time I really remember being familiar with Rossmo was the Batman Shadow crossover book.
Which was also Orlando, funny enough, which was one of his better things, actually.
I think in my experience, Rossmo does better with masks and cowls than he does with
expressions.
I think it worked with the detective stuff for me because it felt kind of pulpy, and it was kind of working for what it was doing. Once it goes to Mars, though, in the flashback, it's like all this just extreme weird... It's like he's going for it's all very psychedelic because they're shapeshifters, they can be anything they want, and I'm like... Yeah, but it's kind of horrible to look at.
That's cool, but take like 2 steps back. You know?
Do you know? And it's a shame because once it hits that Martian bit, that's like the middle chunk of the book until the final couple of pages. So, and it's very 50-50, but that half is horrible. I thought that half was horrible.
It completely derails the book.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get through that section because I'm looking at pictures, trying to figure out what's going on in the scene
during that twice.
Yeah, it took me 3 attempts to finish this book, and notably, all the pauses were in that section. It's like I was fine with the detective stuff, and then it got to the Mars stuff. I was like, you know what? No, it's time for a nap. I'll finish later.
So question: what's up with his daughter? Is that just the form she's chosen, or like is that all Martian children?
I assume she's just young and she hasn't gotten to choosing a form yet. Yeah. She's just a bit of a blob.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
It's kind of weird. So I like, the concept that I like in all this Martian stuff that I mostly don't like is the idea that Jean's hiding the fact that he's a corrupt cop from his wife. So he's got like this one hidden portion of his mind that he's not letting anyone access to, and she's like obviously upset about that and wants to be let into everything. And he's like, oh no, I see a lot of bad stuff as a cop. You don't want to like be burdened with that. And she's like, I work in a hospital. I see lots of weird shit, like
grisly stuff. Yeah.
I like that concept on its own. That is a fine idea. As part of the whole corrupt cop thing, which I don't mind. I don't mind giving him a darker past. That gives the character something to redeem for. I'm okay with that.
It's so weird.
But yeah, I hated the Martian stuff. I thought the dialogue was really bad and hard to follow. I hate the art.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of squiggles and weird shapes. It feels almost abstract.
Yeah. But I think that's what they're going for, though. So is it necessarily like? I don't like it, but
I guess the idea is that okay, everyone's a shapeshifter, everyone can be whatever they want, so it would feel weird and like random, but it's just not very appealing to look at, and I feel like I get why you think that would be the way you interpret what the Martian world looked like because everyone can do that, but I've never seen it done that way before. I feel like no, I think there's like a base Martian shape they all have.
Yeah, I always thought that too. That's always how, like, on Justice League, when on the cartoon, that we got it. Like, his base form is the one that we saw when he came over on the radio wave.
And we always see the base, white Martians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a base, and I
do like, though, like, Orlando is seeding, like, the sickness that comes out and wipes out most of the culture. So that stuff's coming. So knowing Martian and Manhunter, I like that stuff's there. But yeah, well, I think I actually like this more than you guys did.
I liked half of it.
Yeah.
I thought See, I wouldn't go as far as say, oh, I was really into the detective stuff. I was like, yeah, this is all right. I mean,
I didn't love the detective stuff. I liked the detective stuff.
I thought it was, yeah, I was like, oh, this is okay. I thought I'll get through an issue of this. Maybe I'll come back for more. And then I got to halfway, and I'm just like, I don't think I can want to read any more of this. If the next issue is half of this again,
yeah,
I don't know if I got that in me.
I'm not.
I always my base is I'll always give it 2 now. I used to say I give it the first arc, but with how much we have to read, well, don't have to read. We choose to read on here.
Honestly, Matt, I think the biggest thing this has got going for it is that it's out in week 1, which typically is a very. I mean, this week felt bigger because of Doomsday Clock, but typically this is a later week, so I'll definitely read issue 2 and give it another fair shake. But
if it gets dramatically more weird in the next issue, I'll probably drop it because we all know how I am with stuff like that. But I have an open mind still right now through 2. I'm definitely more positive on it than Green Lantern right now from Morrison, and that has much better art. So,
weird ones in a weak place because I mean, obviously this was fine because we had Doomsday Clock and Shazam was great, but like I'm not feeling Green Lantern, and I'm 50-50 on Martian Manhunter. Green Arrow's about to get some fill-in writers who. The last Green Arrow stuff wasn't that great. So, week 1's in a really weird place. I could end up with like 4 books in week 1 if they're not careful here. they don't watch what they're doing.
Yeah.
This will be the question week soon, because week 3's got
this will be the week where, okay, punishment issues.
Punishment issues, yes. But yeah, so, I don't know, I'm 50-50 on it. I really hate the Martian stuff.
Yeah, that was bad. Conceptually,
there's a couple of nice things in there, but it looked and just read kind of bad. So, what are you giving it, Matt?
I give it 7.5. For real, that's not a fake one.
Yeah, I mean, he did say he liked it more than us. So
he did. I'm not shaking my head at it being stupidly high for Matt, like doing his thing. I can't comprehend giving the book that score.
What are you giving it, Carlo?
I'm giving it a 4.
I'm going to be kind on that. I'm going to give it a 6 because I like the detective stuff. I'm hoping it sticks more to that. At least if I'm expecting more flashbacks because his wife's going to have to find out about it and stuff. But I'm hoping that it's less than half an issue next time.
My logic is if 5 is okay, this is just mediocre, right, and below that is bad. If a book made me fall asleep 3 times or whatever it was.
Well, see, I can't do that because I go to sleep reading routinely throughout the week because it's the time I can fit it in.
Well, no, that's
so
fine.
I've fallen asleep reading stuff multiple times.
If I fall asleep reading an issue once, that's fine. I'll just finish it the next day. But when I fall asleep, I didn't even start reading anything else. I was, all right, I'm okay. I'll read this one issue. I'll finish this off before I get onto anything else. And then I fell asleep again. If it's doing that, it has to be at least bad.
No, I'm going with 6. I'm being somewhat kind for now, but knowing Orlando, knowing how much I don't like the Martian stuff, I'm kind of expecting it to piss me off next issue and then drop it, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll I'm giving it that second issue.
Yes.
Whereas I used to give it an arc, it's kind of hard to do that in a mini or a maxi.
Yeah, the whole
thing. That's going to be the full
is
story.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it the 2. Just saying I'm giving Green Lantern the next issue.
Yeah.
Before I make up my mind, but yeah, I mean it is Orlando. Pete pointed out, like it could go bad.
Track record is not on his side.
No,
not for us anyway. He does have his fans, but
yeah, and if you like it, cool. Like I get it. Like we have different tastes.
Yeah. So that was the last book, which does bring us on to the section of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week. We pick our favorite artist, our favorite cover, panel/moment, and our top 5 books. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll start off with panel/moment. Matt, what do you have?
Mine is Superman meeting Black Adam in Doomsday Clock. Such a good scene, such well paced, as you guys pointed out. And it culminates with your glorified firefighter, which that's a burn. Like you're roasted.
Ironically, because he's a firefighter.
Yeah.
Carlo, what's your panel/moment?
Mine was going to be in that same bit, but I'll narrow it down specifically just to that first panel with Black Adam sitting on the throne going, "Hello, Superman." I'll go with that.
Yeah, I'm going with something from Doomsday Clock. Let's not lie, but I'm just trying to pick which thing I want. Because there's a temptation to be that's not Firestorm. There's a there's a temptation.
I left that for you, Pete.
Yeah.
I figured you were going to take that, so I took the other one.
It's that, maybe the GSA video, you know, who the hell, the Justice Society of America. That's a moment. It's great stuff.
I also love Perry yelling at
that's
Lois
Mike
and Clark.
is going. But I think actually the moment where this got really dark is the moment where the tank and the stray bullet like smash over the glass people, and I realized just how dark this was getting, and that Superman had to step in because the weight of this kind of really hit at that moment. So I'm going to go with that for the storytelling purposes. But yeah. So best cover of the week.
There's a lot of good ones this week, isn't there?
There's only one choice for me.
I mean, we got 2 Frank covers.
Yep.
Or do we have 3 Frank covers? Because both Doomsday Clocks are Frank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two Frank covers for Doomsday Clock and his Shazam.
Yep. We have a great Batman variant. The Green Arrow variant's pretty great.
The Green Lantern variant.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. However, I'm going to be boring and go with the Doomsday Clock variant.
It's a good cover.
It's
a great cover.
Not only is it a great looking cover, but thematically, it fits so well with what's going on. The Matina stuff for Batman, I've been praising every time, so you know my feelings on that. But shout out
is it Matina doing the Green Lantern cover?
I don't think it was, but I mean, it'll surprise me.
Yeah, it is.
Is it? Well, fair enough.
Yeah, the Green Lantern variant Matina as well. I thought it might have been. It's in the colouring.
Yeah, I can see it. Pardon me. I'm tired, but I want pizza. But so no, I'll go with Doomsday Clock variant. Matt, is that your pick or?
Oh no, mine's the Shazam variant.
Oh, fair enough. That's fine.
Oh, Gary Frank Shazam. It's a lot like a Superman. It just fits. Did
you pick one, Connor?
No, not yet. I mean, I could go with the other Doomsday Clock cover just to have 3 Franks, but I'm not.
It's maybe Link's thing. I forget its name.
3 Franks. Yeah. It sounds like we're before the Euro.
Yeah,
that'll be 3 Franks.
I'm gonna go with the Green Arrow cover. That Carrie Andrews one is just gorgeous.
Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, that's can't argue. So best art of the week then. Looking across. So the natural pick usually when Doomsday Clock is out to just pick Gary Frank for Doomsday Clock because.
What? Eaglesham was pretty good too.
Yeah, not so much a but just it does have competition in that we have Eaglesham on Shazam. You could argue Batman. You could argue that if you're cool with the changes based on the thematic.
In
I'm
Shazam,
not going to though.
Do you have to include the backup?
I'm going to say no because
That's not the main story,
or at least not in the same way you'd include 2 artists in the main story because a backup is a separate story. Therefore, you shouldn't take points off because it's different art. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Pixar short before the movie.
Yeah. Do you rate the movie based on the short? You wouldn't.
Right.
No, of course.
So, yeah, I would say no. I'd say no to that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think those are the options really for me. I'm going with Frank. It's boring, but it was just amazing. So I'm not picking.
I thought I could throw you guys off my scent by saying Eaglesham, but we all know.
I'd say second.
Eaglesham's a close second.
Yeah, I'd pick him as second, but no, I have to go with Doomsday Clock.
But Frank's on another level, isn't he?
Yeah, this is something else. So, top 5 books of the week then is how we wrap up. So, Matt T.O., what is your top 5 books of the week?
Number 1 is Doomsday Clock because it's a 10. Yeah. No, number 2.
If that wasn't your number 1, we'd have a problem.
Yeah, right. I thought about doing another joke, but I can't get away with 2 in 1.
Yeah.
So, 3. So I said 2 is Shazam. 3 is Batman.
I love how you almost passed over Shazam because it was just obvious.
Yeah.
So straight to 3.
Yeah. And then 4 is Super Sons, and 5 is Martian Manhunter.
Okay, Connor.
1 is Shazam. 2 is Doomsday Clock.
3. Sometimes.
What's that?
I want to strangle you sometimes.
You love Shazam though as well, so.
I know, but just I thought we'd get the Doomsday Clock trifecta, and now we can't. Thanks, Connor.
I mean, I rated Shazam higher.
He did. No, he's
This
been
shouldn't
consistent.
be a surprise.
He's been consistent with his ratings. I can't fault it.
Yeah. So Shazam, Doomsday Clock, Batman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow. Because Justice League and Manhunter sure as shit ain't getting in there.
Careful, Matt. Doomsday Clock's my number 1. Shazam's my number 2. Batman's my number 3. Our top 3 are very consistent this week. Sure, you swapped 2 of them, but I mean,
They're
I think
all
those
there.
are clearly the top 3 books of the week. And then I will say Green Arrow number 4, and then Super Sons number 5. Yeah, there you go. That's my top 5. So yeah, so I'll tell you what's coming next week then, is what I usually do after this part. Coming next week, for some bizarre reason, we have a Batman annual, but Tom Taylor's got a story in there, so...
Just why is there an annual on week?
I don't know! It's not even a week 5!
2. What? Week
Or 5
2s are busy enough.
It's not even a 5-week month.
Oh,
No.
this is the Alfred story though. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, this is Tom Taylor's Alfred story.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not going to be good and don't get excited for it, but just why does this exist now?
It's weird. I don't know. My theory is that it was meant to be in the last week 5, but it got delayed for some reason. But we never got solicits for it. It just got pushed.
It could have been here.
But why not just push it till the next week 5? I don't know. I guess because January's not really got a week 5, even though there's still going to be annuals on week 5, even though it's actually just going to be the week 4 books. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
That's going to be a crazy week.
It's going to be a hefty week. But, yeah, so coming next week, we have Batman Annual, we have Detective Comics 994. Is that the start of Tomasi's run?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's a big deal. Tomasi's run starts next week. We got Superman issue 6, we have Wonder Woman 60, we have Justice League Dark number 6, we have The Flash 60, we have Supergirl 25, which I assume means it's going to be a slightly bigger issue, because it's a 25.
Let's see.
$5 book.
Stands to reason.
Yep.
It's a supersized issue of Supergirl is the blurb.
There you go. Well, we've been digging that, Matt, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah, I'm not complaining.
Yeah. You guys have got Hawkman number 7, we've got Sideways number 11, and then we also got Batman Who Laughs number 1 as the start of the mini. Also,
Did
next
I mention
week.
you saying Batman Damned?
Batman Damned 2's next week.
Oh,
as
it's
well.
got pushed from the this week or last week.
Yeah.
So fair enough. Batman Damned's also next week. Yeah, like that. Week 2 is hefty. What a surprise. On the upside, though, something did get pushed from next week to the following week. What was it? It was Catwoman.
Catwoman.
Yeah, Catwoman was supposed to be. So at least one book got pushed to week 3. That was nice of them.
So we have something extra on week 3.
We do, yeah.
I mean, it's.
Did you also say Titans 31? I didn't hear you say that.
I did not say that. Is there a Titans issue?
Titans 31's also out.
Oh, fair
It's
enough.
a big week next week.
Yeah, that's like 12 books.
Yeah.
On the upside, there's like 2 I'm not reading, so I'm okay with that.
But
Yeah, I'd probably-
grab that Wonder Woman variant.
Yeah, let's see it real quick.
Might.
Yeah, that's great. That's pretty great.
Man, there's a lot of Batman next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna be upfront. If I don't have time for Damned, I probably won't get to it.
Fair enough.
Damned is the first one to be cut. Not in that it's going to be the worst,
No,
but just that it's the least
save
important.
time. Well, that and I'd rather read the annual, the Tom Taylor Alfred story. I'm more excited for that because they're probably going to be about the same length, right?
I promise I will read Damned to the audience. I will give you my word.
Yeah.
I'm reading
You will
Damned.
read it to the audience. Will you act?
I'll fit everything in. I just, I was fine. I'm not reading Hawkman. It's fine.
And Connor,
I'll do it
if
all.
you're interested, the Curse of Brimstone Volume 1 is out. Get it all in one place.
The only reason I can recommend buying that is if you've run out of toilet paper and your shop has only got Curse of Brimstone.
I thought you were going to say to throw it into a fire because the first volume's called Inferno. So I thought you were going to make a clever joke.
No, you want to at least get. You don't even get any use out of that. I mean, unless you really need kindling.
I like to burn things, so I mean.
All right, thanks, Mick. Jesus.
No, I mean, to be fair, burning things is fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So no. Yeah, it's worth mentioning. We don't always mention them, but I think it's worth pointing out the sales and Comixology. If the DC ones. If you're, I mentioned Miles Morales one earlier. If you're up for some Spider-Man, but there is a month-long Aquaman sale on. It's got all the way up to the 2nd of January.
I wonder why that is.
Some Aquaman trades, and you can also there's a 2-week Vertigo sale at the same time right now. My assumption is that at the end of that 2 weeks they'll start the Christmas sale for just the regular DC books. So I'm saving my pennies for the big
I
DC
bought
sale.
all of Lucifer last month.
Yeah, because
So-
I was kind and gave you the scoop.
And I may have been mildly drunk at the time.
Yes.
So just did it.
Because I mentioned this previously, I think, on our show, but at the end of the Black Friday sale, it overlapped with a buy one get one free sale for like an hour, so you could get their Black Friday prices at half price, and they were already silly good prices. So I got a bunch of trades, and it happened at the other end. The buy one get one free overlapped with that the Sandman sale, so Connor benefited in the other end. So just, you know,
So keep an eye out.
it's worth trying your luck.
Do you know the reason we probably don't usually talk about the sales that much is
they're
because
a week long.
Well, yeah, they're a week long, and the day that they refresh is a Monday, and we record this on a Saturday. So by the time you know, you've only really got the Sunday.
Yeah, but at least in that case, it's like it's digital. So if you do listen to this on a Sunday or a Monday, you've got time before it changes.
You do, yeah.
So you have to go to the shop to go and make use of it.
These ones are abnormally long.
Yeah, it's weird because usually DC have 1 week sales. It's interesting. I wonder if this will be the new format going forward, or if this is just for the Christmas month because they want. Or I wonder if the month long for like a movie character will be a new thing. Like, you know, if there's when Shazam comes out, we'll have a month long Shazam sale.
It's worth noting as well. These are keeping the lower prices that they did from the Black Friday sale. Usually the Black Friday sale is lower than everything else.
Yeah, they're $5 all the books, which is cool. So no, so check out the sales if you're up for some purchasing. But yeah, so that brings it then to the show though, and wraps us up here for issue 133 or episode 133.
Yeah.
I caught myself. I caught it.
Well, I didn't think
your
you were gonna...
face. Yes, well.
I just heard a mic drop sound, and it made me laugh.
No, it was him hitting his mic as he gave me the finger. That's what.
I know, but it sounded like the mic drop
on the way up. Yeah. It's like where did this mic stand come from?
Dear, but that does wrap up this episode of the show. Obviously, let us know what you thought of any of the books this week in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps out with YouTube analytics and everything else. Same with, you know, rating us on iTunes or whatever your podcast app of choice is. But if you want to support us even more so, you can go over to patreon.com/MailedFuzzTV. And you can support us over there for as little as $1 per month. At the $5 tier, you get access to the monthly episode that me and Connor do that is about a trade or a graphic novel or whatever. This month, we're going to be doing Batman Noel plus the Christmas anthology book that came out like a week or two ago. And that'll be this month's monthly. The one we just did there was Superman Earth 1 Volume 2, which we hated with a fiery passion.
We were not kind.
So you can go listen to that one if you're a patron.
That might be the one that we've hated the most of all the monthly episodes.
Yeah.
Hey, my hockey game just started, so if we can wrap up, I can go watch that.
Well, Matt wants to watch his hockey game. I want to order some pizza, so...
food sounds nice.
So we'll wrap this up here. This has been episode 133. Thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and always remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.